Do you feel like when you finally like a guy, you struggle to set the right boundaries with him? Is it not even more painful that that same guy ends up taking advantage of the fact that you were too nice? Well, what if I told you, with an understanding of exactly what boundaries must be set with a man from the very beginning, it can be the difference between you getting respect and you getting taken advantage of? Which is why on today's show, we're going to be discussing every boundary you must set with men. That way, never again do you get disrespected or taken advantage of in your relationship with a man, ever. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively focus. Point number one is focus. Now, what are we focusing on and what do I want you focusing on and why is this a boundary? See, here's the thing about dating men. I don't necessarily need you to go on your very first date and tell a man exactly what you will and won't do. That's very masculine of you. But you still need to be setting boundaries in a firm, stern, yet feminine way. Let's explain what focus is and what I want you and him to be focusing on as a boundary. Men, of course, are men, meaning they have an innate, burning, deep desire to penetrate themselves inside of you. I'm getting real today, okay? And because they have a deep, burning passion to penetrate themselves inside of you, we need to shift the focus here so that we all understand in this group, yeah, you and him on this date, that yes, we do want pleasure eventually. Yes, I'm feeling a vibe from you. Yes, you're attracted to me. I'm attracted to you. However, just because we're attracted to each other, that doesn't mean we're going to put our focus in the wrong place. So part of today's show is not just going to be about setting boundaries. It's also going to be about understanding how to do that in a feminine way while staying in your nice, beautiful, cute, feminine energy. Now, the reason I drew this out is because I want you to visualize something very important, right? See, men will try and do this thing where they want one day, right? So we can call this circle one day, right? They want that one day to consist of a date. They want it to consist of a kiss. They want it to consist of a cuddle at the end of the night. They want it to consist of trauma dumping. They want it to consist of what else? They want it to consist of sex. They want it to consist of so many different things, right? To fill up this one day here. But here's the problem, right? As you're doing this, right? In the process of you guys filling up your entire day or with all of the possible things you could possibly do in one relationship, you end up rushing and taking things a lot faster than intended. See, part of the reason guys will do this, right? We can call it kind of a version of love bombing, but even guys that like you will do this because they want to rush to the fun parts of the relationship. And the problem is, as soon as you start to rush to the fun parts of the relationship, you stop focusing on the most important parts of the relationship, which is building the foundation, okay? And I want you and him focusing in the right places. So the reason I put these here as building blocks is because I want you to imagine with everything we're doing, and we're going to talk about pacing in a little bit, right? I want you to be imagining every day is another chance to add a building block, right? So one of these building blocks here might be a date. One of these building blocks might be meet the friends, right? One of these building blocks here might be a kiss even, right? One of these building blocks here might be just building overall trust. One of these building blocks over here, we'll put like a heart to heart. So the reason I'm saying this is because I want you to rethink in your mind, rather than going on your date and saying, hey, I'm setting this boundary that I have a 90-day rule. It's going to take me exactly 90 days and 3.5 hours before I'll finally sleep with you. That's not how I want you to set a boundary in terms of focus. What I want you to set a boundary of, and this is how I want you to even present it, is that my main focus from the very beginning is going to be on building with each other. Building only happens over the course of time. And over the course of time, over many weeks and many months, we will add different blocks to this overall project or overall construction of our relationship, if you want to call it that. And you don't necessarily have to say that word for word, but that is the type of narrative I want you to come to that very first date with, that very first hangout with. Because when you consistently talk about building, when you consistently talk about how you're going to add things to your relationship and to your dynamic over the course of time, you're indirectly and subconsciously communicating to him, we are not going to do this, right? Everything in just one single day that we meet. We're not going to pack our date filled with romance, filled with trauma dumping, filled with the heart to heart, filled with going to the park, filled with going here and doing this and doing that. That by the time we finally want to like explore other parts of a relationship, we're thinking that we've done everything in the first day and we're thinking we're already husband and wife. That's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve him. It's not going to serve the benefit of the relationship. Set that boundary from the beginning. Because when it comes time to make a decision on sleeping together, or when he starts talking about that or hinting towards that, you can remind him in a nice feminine way that you're here to build, okay? And you don't have to say, hey, I got a 90-day rule, I got an 80-day rule, I got a 25-day rule. You can just say, hey, I'm here to build. I want to enjoy myself. I think you're attractive too. I like pleasure too. You don't have to say that. But this is the type of energy I want you to bring, right? And when you're reminding him that you want to build, remind him there will be more days. So I want our focus to be on the fact there are more days and more opportunities for us to build, right? That's the way you set that boundary. And that's exactly the boundary I want you to set, all right? Let's hop. Damn, that was kind of scribbly. Were you guys able to read that? Hopefully. It's like my mad scientist ideas on a board. Okay? I gotta get neater with that. Alrighty. Point number 2. Okay. So, we talked about focus. Now let's talk about something that really, really will trip a lot of you up. Okay? And I don't want it to trip any of you up. All right. Okay. Now, we'll do it like this. We'll draw a nice fat road here. Fat road. There we go. So we'll put you right here. Nice big road. And we'll go like this. All right. So here's the thing. We'll draw the man here. We'll draw him up here. So it'll make more visual sense. All right. Here's the thing about men and persuasion, okay? Point number 2 is persuasion. Unfortunately, I'm going to set you in on a reality because we're friends. I love you. I care about you. I can't lie to you about what goes on in men's mind. When you tell them that you're not going to do things, i.e., for example, I'm not going to sleep with you on the first date, or even, for example, I'm not going back to your house on the first date. In a perfect world, when you say that, that would be enough of a way to set a boundary and he'd just be like, okay, she said it, that means she's serious about it. But in reality, when you say those type of things, men say to themselves, we'll see. Because they get accustomed to being able to convince women of things that they originally said they weren't going to do. So one of the very important boundaries to set with men from the very beginning, please, from the very beginning of your relationship with him, is that when you say you're going to do something, or when you say you're not going to do something, you cannot be persuaded to change your mind on that, especially as it relates to something about you, your decision on your own life, your decision on your own body, or your choice in terms of what you're going to do with your time. Let me give you a better example of that so you're not confused, right? Let's say you're with a guy, and in the process of you going on a date with the guy, you kind of tell him like, look, at the end of this date, I listen to Tomisin a lot. So I know that I'm not going to have no marathon dates. So I'm going to tell you from the very beginning that, the date, I only have 2 hours. And after the 2 hours, either you got to take me home or I got to get my Uber home because I have to go to sleep. I love my beauty sleep. That's how I stay fine. And then I got to wake up tomorrow morning and do a bunch of stuff. Okay. So you tell him that at the beginning of the date. He says to himself, oh yeah, Yeah, 2 hours for sure. I'll make sure she feels a vibe. And once she starts feeling the vibe, even though she was going in this direction here, I'm going to do a little bit of a detour, right? We'll block off this road here. Forget what she was going to do over here. And we're going to take this detour over here because I know with the right type of persuasion, with the right chit chat, as long as I'm a smooth operator, a smooth talker, I tell enough jokes, she'll be feeling me. She'll be feeling the vibe. She'll forget about what she said she was going to do. She'll forget about the direction she said she was going to go in. Forget that. Forget that. And we're going to go in this new direction, which is the direction that I persuaded her to go into because I want us to do that. Now, here's the thing, right? Setting this boundary with men is not about just saying, hey, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. It's also about showing them that when you say you're not going to do something, you actually follow through with it, even if it's easy or feels good to follow through with it. Because, for example, if that guy says, hey, I'm loving this date, I'm loving this vibe, and as the date goes on, originally you said 2 hours, but now it's like 1 hour and 59 minutes, and you guys have been laughing, you guys have been giggling, you guys have been joking back and forth, you like the way he banters with you, his smile is great, you guys have a great chat, he's very respectful, and now at 1 hour and 59 minutes, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, you know, I had this boundary and rule that I wasn't gonna go back to your house, but now I'm enjoying the date so much. I don't know if I should still do that. So maybe me and you, we can go back to your house because I do like your vibe and I do like the way that we chit chat and I do like the way that we banter, right? But this is a mistake. Because once you do that, you're setting a different expectations because boundaries are a lot like expectation. You are setting the expectation that in the future, when you tell him you're not going to do something, or you tell him you're going to do something, especially as it relates to yourself, you're now showing him firsthand that he can persuade you to get you to do what he wants you to do. And that he doesn't actually have to take you seriously when you mention things, or you set boundaries, or you set expectations overall. So this is something you have to show men. You really can't tell men about this. You have to show them that even though I like you, even though I'm vibing with you, even though this is a good feeling for me and you and on this date, I'm still not going to allow that to affect the fact that you will not persuade me to do something that I said I wasn't originally going to do. Does that make sense to all of you? Okay. Let me make sure there's no, someone said there was a glitch in the chat. Is it glitching for you guys on YouTube or TikTok? Let me just make sure there's no glitches here. Okay, let me see here. Good? You guys good? You straight? You straight? No glitches? Okay. I don't see the YouTube chat. Where the YouTube chat at? Hold on. Let me see why. The YouTube chat on the screen, right? No, it's not. Where is it? Let me see. Oh. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. It should be there now. Okay. All right. Let me just make sure. Because YouTube try and play with me. Try and play with me. Okay. Hopefully it comes back to YouTube chat because I want you guys to be able to see both chats when we chat, okay? Let's hop into our point number 3. Point number 3. Okay. Dropping stuff. It's crazy. All right. Point number 3. Oh boy. Some of y'all ain't gonna like this one. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit. I always challenge myself with this stuff to try and make it as visually enticing as possible. But you know, it's not that easy, right? Okay, this is horrible, right? We're whatever. Their phones, okay? Their phones. And we'll say that this lasts weeks, okay? And we'll go like this. Make this nice and simple in terms of a visual. I mean, my face drawings are better, I think. You know, I think. Vibes, yeah. Okay, so point number 3 is about texting. Now, why would you be setting a boundary with texting, and why is this one of the most important boundaries to set? Please, I beg you, I want you to set this boundary. This boundary is really important to set because for a lot of you, you won't realize how easy it will be to fall into the texting trap. With men, from the very beginning when you meet them, I want you to set the expectation you are not going to be an endless chit-chatter over text. Why must you set that boundary from the very beginning? Because a lot of the men that you meet, and let's be super real here, I know a lot of you are meeting men on dating apps. I know a lot of you are meeting men through Instagram DM. I know a lot of you are meeting men even on Snapchat, okay? And not even knowing who they are, not even seeing their face. The reason I say this is because if you don't set that expectation from the very beginning, what's gonna happen is majority of the men you talk to will just be texting buddies. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in today in 2025. Some of the men, well, I should say a large percentage of the men you text on the phone, you'll never end up going on an in-person real life date with them. That's just the reality of life. And what I want you to get good at is wasting a lot less of your time. You will waste so much of your life away messaging men, thinking to yourself, I'm messaging them that eventually one day me and him will go on a date, only to realize down the line that all you've continued to do this entire time was text, and never actually set an in-person date because he never had any real intention of actually going on an in-person date with you. The reason I drew this visual out here is because I kind of want you to actually see for yourself how being on the phone, even when you text someone for a whole week, even when you text someone for multiple weeks, you can feel like, oh yeah, we're doing this thing where it's really great and I'm getting to know him and I'm getting to understand him. But by the time you go on an in-person date, everything can change. And you're probably saying, well, Thompson, you think you're a know-it-all? You think you know everything? How could you possibly do some sort of wizard math and assume that many weeks of being on the phone is barely equal to one in-person date? Well, I will say that by asking you a question, and I want you guys to all answer this so that we're all on the same page. Have you ever been texting a man, I should say, have you ever been texting a man for 1 week, 2 weeks, multiple weeks, and you're feeling like there's a vibe there, but you haven't met him yet? But you feel like the way that he texts you and you feel like the way he responds to you, you guys would get along and you guys would have good conversation. And then you finally meet that guy. And when you finally meet him in person, you realize, oh, actually, the vibe that I thought that we were sharing, the good conversation that I thought we would have in person, when I finally met him, we didn't have that same type of conversation in person. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. Okay? The reason I asked that question is because if that's ever happened to you, oops, let me change this. Here. Okay. The reason I asked that question is because if that's happened to you, and I see some of you saying yes, right? If that's happened to you before, then you know firsthand that texting on the phone is never going to be equivalent to being with someone in person. Because if texting on the phone was really equivalent in terms of building a relationship and building a foundation to meeting someone in person, then all of the weeks of texting should mean something when you finally meet them in person. And there shouldn't be such a misalignment when you finally meet them in person, or I should even say such a disappointment when you meet someone in person if you've been spending many weeks messaging them, right? And this is what I want to bring to your attention, how this is such a unequal equation, right? And how there's so much imbalance here, even though it feels like they're equal, even though it feels like they can be the same, even though it feels like you can supplement one for the other. So the reason I say all of that is because you need to set that boundary from the beginning so you don't fall into the trap of trying to get to know him over text, or just fall into the trap of allowing the relationship to become comfortable over the phone, right? And not putting pressure on him and pressure on the success of the relationship to him seeing you in person. I know it sounds very weird, but setting a good boundary is also squeezing the life. I really mean this. It's going to sound horrible. Squeezing the life out of men's ability to communicate with you without taking you on a date. I know it sounds very weird and very strange for me to say it like that, but the moment you set a boundary where you squeeze the life out of men's ability to get access to you and communicate with you, if they're not going to take you on a date, you will get more dates more often, and you will also waste less of your time doing this without ever seeing or meeting someone, because I know that frustrates a lot of you. Okay? Does that make sense to all of you so far? All right, let's hop into our next point here. All right. I tried to do all the different boundaries. There's a lot. There's a lot. Okay? All righty. Point number 4. Yeah, 4. Okay, this one also really important. They're all important, but this one, yeah. You'll see why. Okay. I'm going to draw out a timeline here. And we're going to go through a scenario here together. Okay? So at the end here, we'll put sushi, date. And we're going to say this timeline is 1 week. Okay? So okay. So this is going to kind of look a little bit weird at the beginning, but I'll explain this timeline and how this is going to work here. So point number 4 is about scheduling. This is a boundary I want you to set with men from the very beginning. And I'll explain to you why in an example. Let's say that a man asks you out on a sushi date, okay? And let's say this is Monday, okay? And he asks you out on this sushi date that next Monday, okay? In 1 week's time, you guys are going to go on a sushi date to your favorite sushi spot, whatever the case may be. He brings it up and he asks you out via text message. Hey, you want to go out to this sushi spot? They serve the best sushi there. You want to go at 7 p.m. next Monday, okay? So he sets that date and sets that time. Now, let's say for the sake of example, that in the process of him setting this sushi date 1 week in advance, you obviously have 7 days here. So we'll count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll say 7 like that, all right? So you have 7 days in between, okay? And let's say for the sake of example, I'll make it proper so you guys can get them. Let's say for the sake of example, throughout these 7 days that you have in between the Monday and the next Monday, you get no message, right? Okay. Right? You get no message. So from Monday to the next Monday, after he asks you out, you guys chit chat for a little bit, and then he proceeds to send you no message, no confirmation, no, hey, we still on for next Monday, nothing. Okay? And then next Monday comes and you haven't received any sort of confirmation at all. This is the boundary that I want you to set. And you can only really set this boundary when it comes up in the process of your relationship. So this is where I'm saying have a heads up for this moment if it does come up. When the Monday comes and he hasn't had any sort of confirmation with you throughout the entire week to kind of let you know that you guys are still on for the next Monday and that sushi date at that time at that restaurant. And you're now in a place where you're very confused and you're like, I don't know. Tomisin, am I supposed to go to the sushi date still? Am I supposed to get ready? Am I supposed to remind him throughout the week? Am I supposed to just like do this without saying anything? Is that how guys set dates now? What am I supposed to do? This is what I want you to do in this scenario. If you get to the next Monday and he has yet to confirm with you anything about this sushi date and you're wondering whether you should get ready or not, my direct advice to you in terms of setting a boundary is you can get ready, but you're going to get ready and you're going to go out with your girlfriend somewhere else. I'm going to say that again. You're going to get ready on the Monday and you're going to do your makeup. You're going to look great, okay? You're going to wear your tightest pair of jeans. You're going to look amazing, okay? Everyone's going to be staring at your dump truck. And then you're going to leave your house and you're going to go somewhere with your girlfriends, not with that man. And then, let's just say for the sake of example, you're getting ready. In the process of getting ready, he sends you a message maybe like an hour or two before you guys are supposed to meet at that sushi spot. And then he asks you, hey, are we still on for that sushi spot, in an hour or in 2 hours? I want you to say, oh, my bad. You didn't say anything, so I just made different plans. Oh, well, maybe next time. Okay? And that's it. You go out, you have your good time, you post on your stories. I don't care how much he whines. I don't care how much he cries. I don't care how many times he calls you. I don't care how many times he but we were supposed to go to, I set the reservation. I did, we're supposed to go here. That's how men will freak out, right? Like they'll act like they're dying. They'll say, we were supposed to go here and I'm already ready and I'm basically on my way and I took off work, and then they're going to go crazy, right? When they realize you're just doing something else now. But I want you to stay calm and I want you to understand this is for the greater good. Because when you set this boundary, you're now also setting an expectation, and it's a very important expectation and boundary to set. Because men need to understand, if he's going to schedule you in his life and he's going to get access to you, he should do that by being very meticulous and detailed about the way that he goes about scheduling you. Okay? Very important boundary to set. Why? Because you don't want to let men, especially from the very beginning, fall into the habit of feeling like they can just call you up whenever and ask you to pull up whenever, wherever, however, and not really concern themselves with whether or not it's inconvenient for you, whether or not they've given you enough of a heads up, or whatever the case may be. Because I promise you, I'm telling you, I'm a man, okay? I know, I'm a man. After a certain point of realizing that you will pull up whenever, wherever, he will realize it makes no sense and is very unnecessary to be planning and scheduling with you weeks or days in advance. Because when he needs you, he'll just order you to his house like DoorDash. So what's the point of scheduling you a week in advance? Ask yourself a question, okay? And I really mean this. Do you ever schedule your DoorDash order 1 week in advance? Okay? Do you ever look at your phone, scroll through the Uber Eats app, scroll through the DoorDash app and say to yourself, I would love that spicy California roll 1 week from now? Never. Do you ever do that? Whoever does that? You only think about that DoorDash app and that Uber Eats app when you're ready to order in the moment, when you're thinking about that food in the moment. The reason I say that is because once men get that flow with you and build that rhythm with you, it's like cement. It hardens in stone, and then that becomes the only way that they think about scheduling you. It's not really even scheduling you. They just order you because they understand you and your relationship to be in this certain position where he can order you whenever he wants. So why would he bother scheduling you when he can order you whenever he wants? Set that boundary from the very beginning, okay? Let's go on to number 5. All right. Hope that timeline made sense. That's the thing too, chat. Sometimes you don't even need to say anything. They'll get the hint when they realize you just move on and you go and you do something else with your life. So this is actually a perfect segue for number 5, actually, because it goes right in line with what we were just talking about. And I think it's really good. Okay. So it's going to look funny when I try it. All right. And then we'll put you, where should we put you? We'll put you like here. All right. Okay. So this is you. And you're doing a whole lot of revolving here. Now, so I want us to understand each other on something. Point number 5 is about happiness. I do want you to enjoy your time, I should say, with a man. I want you to allow him to feel that you're enjoying your time with him. I want you both to enjoy your time with each other. However, in the process of dating a man, there are very subtle yet feminine ways to remind him that he is not your sole source of happiness. The reason I say this is because when you meet a guy from the very beginning, you'll have things going on in your life. You should have things going on in your life. So your sun, meaning your happiness, we'll put here. Your happiness, your sun, will consist of a whole bunch of different things. You'll have friends in here, right? You'll have fam in here. You'll even have work stuff in here. You'll have hobbies in here, right? I'll just add the gym. I was just thinking about the gym, right? You'll have the gym in here, all this other stuff you'll have going on for you that fill up this space in your happiness, your sun, so to speak. And you revolve around your sun, right? All of these things make you happy. They give you life, right? They feed you with energy and make you whole, bright, and beautiful and glowing, just like Earth, okay? Now, here's the thing. When you meet a guy, though, men will attempt to do this a lot of the time. They will attempt to say, hey, so glad all these other things were giving you happiness, and that's so amazing for you, and it's very attractive for me. But actually, do you mind if I put aside some of those and I become your main source of happiness? What does that look like in a relationship? It's when a man will start very quickly trying to see you every single day, okay? And even when you're going to do other things with your life, he'll say, hey, let me tag along. You're going to the gym? Let me come with you. You're going to go study in study hall? I want to be with you when you go study in study hall. Oh, you're just going to go chill, go to the grocery store? Let's go to the grocery store together. Oh, you're going to go hang out with your girlfriends? I want to be part of the girlfriends too. Ooh, let's sip the tea together. I want to hear the tea is hot, right? But this is the thing. It feels good because you feel like, oh, wow, he really wants to spend time with me. He really wants to be with me. And it sounds nice when you're thinking about, oh, wow, a guy would really want to spend that much time with you. But in reality, it's not as good as you think. Because just like with anything in life, too much of anything can become very, very bad and very, very toxic. So even as it relates to a man wanting to spend all day, every day with you for the next week, especially when he first meets you, this can be a version of that where he starts to become your son or starts to try to become your son. And that he wants essentially you to revolve around him in the sense that he wants to take up and be the main source of your happiness. And this is very dangerous because if you allow this to happen, this can be actually happen very, very easily if you're not aware of what's going on. If you allow this to happen, so for example, you allow him to come to the gym every day with you. So you see him at the gym. You allow him to damn near see you at work every day. You allow him to see you when you're studying every day. You allow him to, hang out with you and just casually be around you every single day. He's with the fam every day. He's with you and the friends every day. Now you have a situation very quickly where you find it difficult to think about your life outside of him. You find it difficult to plan or schedule anything in your life outside of him. Now what happens is if he's not here, if he's not in your life, or if he starts to do things like give you the silent treatment, all of a sudden you don't know how to operate anymore. You don't know how to have any sort of happiness if he's not around, if he's not talking to you, if he's not spending time with you, if he's not going on dates with you, right? You don't even know, and this will happen, tell me in the chat if this has ever happened to you. You might end up in a situation where you don't even feel the same level of joy or happiness being around your girlfriends if your man isn't there. Tell me if that's ever happened to you. Like girls that you used to find happiness being around and hanging out with and having chit chat with without the guy. Now all of a sudden you feel like if I'm hanging out with you and I'm not with that guy, he's not here with us, then I don't even really enjoy having fun with you or talking to you. I need him here for me to even enjoy myself. Very, very dangerous. Once you get into that place in your mind, you've lost. Because now that he's your son, think about this. The same way he's your son and your happiness revolves around him, he can also taketh away. And then what is left? No sunshine, no light, nothing to give you light, nothing to give you energy, and you lose all of your amazing, beautiful glow. Everything withers away and dies, just like Earth would if there was no sun. So I want you to set that boundary. Do not allow men to try and come into your life and be the center of your happiness right away, immediately. Even when you begin dating a guy for a year, he should not be the center of your happiness. It is okay for you to set the boundary that, hey, yeah, today I was supposed to go to the movies with my friend. I know you could come to the movies with me and my friend, but this is supposed to be my movie time or movie night with my friend. So when we go to the movies, yeah, theoretically you could tag along. Yeah, theoretically I could invite you, but I also want to spend this time with my friend. Okay? I know it'll suck to say it when you're someone where you're like, no, I kind of like him, Thompson, and I kind of would love for him to come around, but you need to set that boundary, right? You need to allow yourself some space to continue to have your own versions of happiness and your own happiness outside of just him, okay? Let's hop into our point number 6. All right. Okay. I feel like that analogy doesn't work for those of you who believe in the concept that the earth is flat, I guess. Oh, well. Anyways, let's hop into our point number 6. That just dawned on me, actually. And I'm sure some of you do. Okay. All right. Let's do this like this. We'll draw your big head over here. You have a large head. Large head you got. Big old head you got. And we draw these NPCs over here. All right. A bunch of NPCs. Okay. Yeah. Just like that. Yeah. All right. And then we'll draw your big old goofy man's head right here. He goofy as hell. Goofy man. You like goofy man. Okay. So this is what we're going to do here. And obviously this is what we're going to do here. Okay. So isolation, point number 6, very, very important. Just like with the sun analogy that I gave you guys, I want you to never, ever make the mistake of allowing a man to isolate you from the people that love and care about you, and especially the ones that love and care about you before you met this man. When you meet a guy, right, very important to set the boundary and expectation and understanding that, yes, I like spending time with you. Yes, you are great and amazing, right? But when this happens, and sometimes, honestly, it will happen, men will try and get you to come over here and be on their side. And they'll get you in the process of being on their side to basically alienate yourself away from all of these people so you can be here with him 24/7, okay? So you go from being over there, right, to now being over here by his side 24/7. And in the process of that, let me draw you like this. And in the process of that, damn, your hair bad today. Damn. In the process of that, right? And you and him are now together and you are isolated from all of these other friends and family and people that love you. Now the manipulation will really start. Because just like in the sun analogy, he can now be the main source, not of just your life, okay, in general, that he can really, really start to control you, control your thoughts. He can start to gaslight you and convince you of things that aren't even true because he's your only source of truth. I know it's going to sound very weird for me to say that, but a man, when he isolates you, especially when he isolates you emotionally, can become your sole source of truth from the standpoint of how can you ever acknowledge to yourself that something is crazy or something that he's doing or saying to you is wrong if he's the only person that you ever talk to about these situations. Because what's the number one thing he's going to do if you're catching him in a lie? He's going to explain himself away and tell you how what you're seeing or what you're believing is untrue. And he becomes your sole source of truth. Then you start to feel like, well, I guess that must be the case. He's not actually cheating on me. He's just messaging one of his best friends that he met on Tinder, along with his group of 5 other friends who are all girls that he met on Tinder. And because he's new to this city, because he only moved here like 8 years ago, he needs some new friends to be able to meet and hang out with, but it's just casual. They only travel together sometimes. And to save money when they travel together, sometimes sometimes he and the girl will sleep in the same bed, but it's just a casual thing because they're trying to save money on their trip because it's all inclusive. And very quickly, your delusions will easily spiral out of control because you only have one sole source of truth. So you have to tell men, hey, as much as I like spending time with you and as much as I like being with you, I will not end up sacrificing my other great and awesome relationships to be with you. I'm also not going to allow you to come in my life and convince me that all the people in my life are bad. Because some men will do a tricky, sneaky thing where they'll basically tell you, oh, you don't need to be hanging out with her, she's horrible, right? You don't need to be hanging out with that friend, she's bad news. She's a bad influence on you. Oh, you don't need to be talking to your mom, she's toxic. Oh, your dad's always asking you to do stuff. Oh, don't talk to him. Oh, your brother, your sister, and slowly but surely, he'll convince you that everyone in your life, you don't need them, right? He's the only person that you need in your life, right? He's the only person who will ever do anything for you. All these other people are toxic except for him, right? And slowly but surely, each one of these people will get X'd out of your life. I'm telling, chat. You think I ain't seen some stuff? I done seen some stuff in my day, okay? Slowly but surely, it'll be like a magic trick. Each one of these people in your life will get X'd out one by one by one until one day you wake up, you don't got not a single friend anymore, not a single girlfriend, and even your family is barely talking to you because you spend all of your day's time, energy, effort, focus on this one man. And even that one man is not treating you right, okay? Don't allow that. Now, let's hop into our 7-point? Yeah, 7-point. Okay. I told you guys, I done seen some things in my day. I'm not even that old, relatively, but I done seen some things, okay? I done been some places. I done been outside a lot, okay? I done been outside a lot. All right, point number 7. You guys will love this. You gonna love this. Yeah. The kids gonna love this. I did this one for the kids, yeah. Yeah, you know. I did this one for the kids. They gonna love this. I'm speaking their language with this one. We gonna kill them with this one. Why draw his goofy ass shoes? All right. Chad, I'm feeling silly today. Chad. All right, I have to draw you. So just give me a moment. I have to draw you here. You mad? Yeah, you mad. Damn, you mad. I gotta draw your hair while you mad. Okay. And we'll explain this in just a... Damn, these drawings kind of... All right, just as I said that. At least you get the gist. Okay? And I'll draw one more right here. You mad. You mad. Okay. Point number 7 is the crash out. Now, what I want you to understand about the crash out, you might be thinking to yourself, what type of boundary is the crash out? This is the thing. With men, when you crash out, sorry, let me explain what crash out means first, because I know some of you are not Gen Z, so you don't know what crash out means. When kids refer to the term crash out, what they're discussing is the idea of going crazy on a man. You know when, let's say, a guy, I'll give you an example of crashing out. A guy, let's say, is talking to his girl best friend, and you see him and his girl best friend having conversation and they're flirting. A version of crashing out would be like going over there, screaming at him, calling him a liar, calling him a cheater, and like throwing a drink on him. That's like a version of crashing out, as the kids would say, okay? Now, the reason I want to mention this as a boundary is actually because I want you to show men and set an expectation, because boundaries are also expectations, that he cannot simply go about the business of triggering you to get energy from you. Because what you don't realize, what you may not realize, is that crashing out even though it feels good to do, because going crazy on men and going crazy on people feels like, oh, I just want to show him how mad I am. I just want to show him how angry I am. I just want to give him a piece of my mind. That one probably makes sense to you if you don't know the crash out. I want to give him a piece of my mind. Don't do it. Okay? When you do that, when you crash out, the reason I drew this like this, okay? Don't laugh here. When you crash out, you're giving a man energy, okay? You don't realize it, but you're giving him a lot of energy. You're thinking that as you're crashing out, you're showing him something. What you're actually doing, don't even laugh here. I'm actually so dead serious, okay? I'm actually so dead serious. I'm not joking, okay? I'm actually very serious. What you're actually doing when you crash out on that man is you're making him very erect. Very erect. Not only are you showing him how important he is, not only are you boosting his ego, right? But you're also reminding him that if he didn't touch your soul as much as he did, if he didn't have that PP from heaven that blessed you and changed your life, there's no reason for you to be going this absolutely crazy on him, to be crashing out, as the kids would say. So you're feeding his ego, but you're also reminding him how big of a D he has. And that just makes him more erect, more hard, rock solid, actually, okay? Ego is so important to men. You feed it when you crash out on them. I want you to set the boundary and set the expectation that if he's going to receive energy from you, it will not be because he goes about the business of triggering you. Because this can create the inverse effect, where every time you crash out on him, he's like, oh yeah, I like the feeling of that. I'm hard as a rock right now. And subconsciously, even though it sounds twisted, it'll actually feel good to get that and feel that energy from you. So what do you think that leads to? It actually ends up leading to more of that behavior over and over again every time he wants to feel important. It's a simple way to draw attention to himself. And so you'll actually create a pattern of behavior in which when your man wants to feel the most wanted and the most desired and wants to feel the most attention from you, he figures out ways to get you to crash out. And each and every time you do crash out, it's a confirmation that if he does that thing again, you will crash out again. So rather than giving him those keys, because those are keys to understanding how to push your buttons, I want you to show him that if you do these things that are deemed to be crash out worthy, or you try to purposely trigger me or push my button so that I'll go over the moon and give you some energy and make your PP hard, you will get nothing from me, actually. It's gonna sound weird. You're gonna set a boundary where you're gonna train him essentially. When you trigger me or when you try to do things to hurt me or to get me to go crazy on you, you will receive the opposite of me crashing out. You will receive no energy from me. And if you do want to feel energy from me, you do want to feel my attention, you do want to feel my focus, it will only be because you are doing right by me. So this is where I want you to always make sure that when you're dealing with men, what the hell is this? They're always playing with me on my TikTok, man. What I want you to understand is when you are dealing with men, make sure there is a stark contrast between the way that you treat him when you're noticing he's doing good work for you and he's being consistent with you. And there is a noticeable difference between that treatment and the treatment that you give him when he's trying to get you to crash out or when he's doing those things to trigger you. I'm not saying you can't feel emotions. I want you to feel emotions. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to feel those emotions and then give him all of that energy, because this is all it's going to do for him. It's going to make him rock solid and make him think about continuing to do it, right? These boundaries that I want you to set are for a very specific reason, because I want you to set yourself up for success in the rest of the relationship, right? When you set this boundary from the very beginning, and even honestly, if you set this boundary with the man you're already in a relationship with, your relationship will obviously it'll be rough for a little bit, but then once you get back into the flow and the understanding that this is the new dynamic, it will be much better for you and for your overall happiness, okay? Let's hop into our point number 8. Okay, no need to be doing that to men. Nothing wrong with making a man's pee-pee hard, but let's do that when he's doing good things, not when he's doing bad things. It's not gonna work out for you. I wish I could show you. I should have saved it when I saw it. There is a bunch of TikToks where men are literally like, I gotta save it, so you guys don't think it's just me talking out of my butt. There are a bunch of TikToks where men are literally posting on the caption, and they're like, "Oh, when she going crazy on me," or when she's crashing out, and it's like a video of a girl calling a guy and just going crazy, and the guy's literally over here smiling and twiddling his toes and twiddling his feet. It's just it's exactly what the men love. I'll be honest with you. Let's go on to number 8. Okay. Very important. Let me draw this out. Draw us a nice little calendar. I know some of you are some organization girly. I know it's not a perfect 7-day calendar. Don't arrest me, okay? I know some of you guys are very particular, okay? Here's what I want you to understand, okay? So we'll obviously pretend this is a calendar. Let's just say, right? Now, this is the thing about building with men. Number 8 is about pace. See, I know that when you meet someone and you have a good first date with them, you're like, oh, I really feel good about that person. I really like their vibe. And I know when you go on a second date with that person, you're like convinced, if we have 2 good dates in a row, we vibing now. I don't see an issue with that person. I think that we could really be something. I want you to set a boundary and an expectation that with men, trust is never going to be something that can build in one day, okay? You have trust building here, right? One day, and then you have trust another day, right? Building and going up another day, and then you have trust here, another day, going up and building another day, and so on and so forth and so forth. You're supposed to say it twice. But you get my gist, right? The reason I'm saying this is because sometimes you can get into a mode where, because things feel really good with someone at the beginning, even in a non-toxic way, you can start to convince yourself that there's real trust between you and the guy that you're seeing, but there's not. And I want you to never forget that. And I also want you to continue to remind him and yourself that, yes, I like how things are going. I like what we're doing so far. I like our dynamic. I like our interactions. However, there is still more for both of us to understand about each other. Set that boundary from the very beginning, because you want to make it clear you're not shaken and you're not, I guess the word is, you're not mesmerized by the idea that he will go on a couple good dates with you, tell you some jokes, seem like a nice guy, get you flowers one time, and then all of a sudden, now you're completely sure and convinced that this is the guy that you need to be with, right? I'm not saying you should assume he's a bad person or assume he's going to cheat on you or anything like that. I just want you also to be like, that's great. I'm so grateful for how we spent our time. I love spending time with you, and I love being able to go on dates with you. However, there's still more for us to learn and understand each other. Now, I'll warn you, when you set this boundary, some emotionally immature men will sulk when you start to talk like this. Oh, but it's been a whole 3 weeks and we've been understanding each other so well and we're like basically already married, and how can you not see it like we're already dating, like you're basically my girlfriend? You want to know why they'll sulk? Because as you're saying that, they understand that you're not overwhelmed emotionally, and that you're not being swayed or persuaded right now, because they know in their heart of hearts, if you were going to be persuaded, the way you would be talking, you would be in line with the fantasy. And they would hear you talking like you're also living in the fantasy. When I say living in the fantasy, it's like, oh my God, I met you and you're my soulmate. I met you and I just can't believe that I've never met anyone like you, even close to. And I just know in my heart of hearts that me and you are going to get married. And I knew that when I laid my eyes on you, when my eyes connected with yours, I just knew. I knew that we were going to be connected forever. No, okay? As a woman, right? The men, they love to hear you talk like that and believe in that fantasy, because when you can believe in that fantasy, it's very clear and obvious to them that you're assuming that the trust is very high. If you're assuming the trust is very high, what are you willing to do? A lot of things that you shouldn't be doing, like sleeping with him before you're ready, or before you guys are even actually in a serious relationship. When you start talking as if you're trying to pace yourself, still understand the situation, you're not going to abandon him. You're not saying that you don't want to spend time with him. You're not saying that you don't like him, but you're just saying, hey, I still want to get to know more about you. I still want to learn you. I think you have also more to learn about me, and we have time, right? Whenever you tell men who are eager to get something from you that you guys have time here, you'll hear like some of the immature men, they'll start to sulk at that idea because they know you're not falling for the tricks here and you're not going to be sped up. Pacing yourself and pacing men by reminding them that there are more days, there are more dates as well, okay? You don't have to have 5-hour dates in order to enjoy each other's time. There will be more days you guys can see each other. Today's not the last day, right? Is a very important part of setting the expectation that we do not build trust in one day. We do not build trust in one instant or one moment, or just because we have a good couple of days. We build trust over the course of time with consistency, okay? Consistency. All right, let's hop into our next point. Very, very important, comprehensive, all that good stuff. All right. Oh, chat. Make sure all of you send me a message wherever you can send me a message and remind me to get another dry erase marker, because I know I will forget because I have to go to a meeting right after this. And I don't want to forget before I have to do the next show. I'm going to forget. So please, all of you spam me and remind me of that so that I don't forget, because I will. All right, let's go to number 9. You guys love this term. Love/hate it. All right. So here's the thing. Let me draw your big head here. Big brain, lots of information. I'm always throwing information at you, so that's why your head's so big. All right. Give you more of an hourglass shape here. There you go. More hourglassy. Less boxy. I don't want to draw you too boxy. Okay? There's you. Short hair you rocking today. Let's do it like this. We'll draw him here. Damn, he got a long head. You like the men with them long heads. Damn, his head long as hell. Okay, we'll do this like this. Okay. And then we'll put here, we'll say this. All right, chat. Class. Point number 9. Point number 9 is about girlfriend treatment. Now, I know a lot of you hear this term a lot, whether it be from other dating relationship coaches or just in general. Girlfriend treatment is a great but also very dangerous thing. Set a boundary from the very beginning that as much as you like the vibe going on here, as much as you like the fact that you guys are enjoying each other's time and enjoying each other's company, until you really see consistency from him, and you don't even necessarily need to say this, I just want you to set it by doing it. You are not going to be going out of your way to be doing things for a man who has not even shown you a desire to build with you. Let me give you a very clear understanding of what I specifically mean by that. When I'm talking about investment here, a lot of you might imagine in your mind, I'm talking about money and a guy giving you money or spending money on you or taking you out on fancy dinner dates. That's actually not what I'm saying. When I'm saying investment here, I'm referring to men putting their time and their energy into you on a consistent basis and showing you that they're actually here to build something with you, okay? When they show you that, Then and only then is when you begin to show him even a glimmer of girlfriend treatment. What will happen a lot of the time when you don't set this boundary is the moment he takes you on one date, or the moment he just starts to treat you nice or flirt with you a little bit, you will start to have in your mind, oh, we're already a thing and this is already super serious. And before he's actually really shown you any level of real consistency, you'll automatically start giving him girlfriend treatment by doing things like going over to his house, sleeping over at his house, waking up in the morning, cooking him breakfast at his place because you want to like show him something, cleaning his entire place so that it's nice and spick and span and all that good stuff, and trying to show him that like, hey, this is what it would be like to live with me and have me as a wife or have me as a girlfriend. And this guy hasn't even taken you out on a real date. Or maybe he's only taken you out on one date, and for the rest of the time, you guys haven't really done anything that serious. For the rest of the time, maybe he's just been chit-chatting with you, texting you, and never really been that intentional with you, right? And you have in your mind that, oh, maybe this will show him something, or maybe I owe him this because he's taking me out on one date or been nice to me just a little bit. One, it reeks of desperation, because why are you doing that for a man who just took you on one date? Number two, it also reeks of desperation because it kind of communicates indirectly and subconsciously that you are my one and only option. So I need to make sure that I do everything in my power that you, as my one and only option, won't walk out the door or not want to hang out or spend time with me. I know in your mind when you're doing it, you're thinking, oh, he's going to love me when I do this, but it doesn't work like that for men, right? They will love you when you do that after they invest in you. They're not going to love you when you do that when they know in their heart of hearts and in their mind, in their soul, their spirit, and their pee-pee that they really haven't truly been investing in you. And trust me, I'm a man, so I'm telling you, men deep down in their hearts, they know if they've truly been investing in you or if they've just been like, whatever, okay? And when they're just like, whatever, and they haven't really given you much real investment or much real consistency, and they notice that you're giving him all of this girlfriend treatment in the return for no real consistency, they say to themselves, maybe I can get away with doing even less, okay? So you're not going to be focused on trying to do more for a man until you notice consistency from him. Set that boundary from the beginning. And if he asks you to do things like, hey, come sleep over, you can cook dinner at my place. Can you clean up for me? You could, like, even if he starts asking you stuff, can you do my laundry? Whoa. Well, we're still watching Netflix over at your place and you're asking me to do laundry for you. If you're in that position, you're not even going to argue with it. You just know that this is not the relationship for you, right? Because there's a total imbalance in the way he's investing in you versus what your expectation of what you should be doing for him, right? And I'm not saying, let me be very clear, okay, for this point. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do nice things for a man. I'm not saying that you shouldn't give a man girlfriend treatment at all whatsoever or be nice to him, okay? What I am saying is when you do that, it should be earned through his investment. I'm not just talking monetarily, time and energy investment on a consistent basis, right? At the very least, you need to be seeing this type of investment on a consistent basis for 3 months before you can start saying or thinking or contemplating about giving him girlfriend treatment, okay? Doesn't mean you can't still be nice during that time. Doesn't mean you can't still be appreciative during that time. It doesn't mean you can't still like be loving and caring during that time or be warm during that time. It just means you hold yourself and stop yourself from going overboard and trying to like do some convincing by doing things like washing his underwear, cleaning his house, going over to his place, cooking him breakfast, like all that stuff that you don't need to be doing in the first 3 months, okay, of meeting a guy. It's very unnecessary, and you have plenty of weeks and months to be doing that for him when he's committed himself to you, okay? Let's hop into our 10th point. 10 today, chat. Very long and comprehensive. I love this one because, one that we don't talk about a lot when it comes to boundaries, because it's one of the hardest ones to execute. Honestly, especially when you like someone, this is really hard to execute. So I want us to discuss this for our 10th. It's kind of like the bonus point, okay? So All right. Oh, chat. You tried to get me, chat. You tried. Right? You tried. You was going to. You was going to say it, right? You was going to say it. So I'm going to draw out something. It's going to look weird when I draw it out, but I'll explain it. Don't you worry. Okay. We'll say all right. Okay. So, point number 10 is about forgiveness. Very important boundary to set with men that you are dating. You want them to understand that in order for you to forgive them, because the reality of it is we all make mistakes. You, me, everyone, okay? Actually, I'm an AI, so I don't know if I can make mistakes. But in reality, we all make mistakes. We're human beings. Here's the thing that I want you to remember when it comes to boundaries with men. Sometimes men will adopt the mentality that in order to get you to forgive him, he can do something that I don't want him to become accustomed to doing. He'll start to say to himself, hey, instead of really doing anything about what I should be apologizing for, or the thing that I did that hurt her, I'll just, instead of taking action, I'll get her a Chanel bag. She does love that Chanel classic flap. Oh, she loves that one. She loves, that's the one she's always looking at the girls at the basketball games with, and she loves that Chanel classic flap, the big one. Or maybe I just hand her some money. And when I give her some money, I say, hey girl, you can go shopping, you can go get whatever you want. And she's got that smile on her face, she's all good, everything is all forgiven. Or I simply just say, yeah, you know, I'm really sorry. I really wish you could forgive me. And I pout and I sulk and I'm like a sad dog. Oh, I'm so sad. Can you forgive me? I'm so sad. I'm such a sad dog. I know she'll eventually forgive me. She'll be fine. Everything will be all good. Right? And I even seen someone say, hand me the cash and I'm all good. Right? Here's the thing. Just like with any other standard, because a boundary is a standard and also an expectation, right, that you're setting. Once you allow this to happen and fester in your relationship, if you don't set the right boundary, this will continue to happen for the rest of your relationship. So it might sound good. Some of you are even saying, I take the money, I take the bag, I don't give a damn, give me that Chanel, I don't care, I'm not mad no more. And it sounds great at the beginning. Then when you get to your 4th and 5th Chanel bag, for the 4th and 5th time he's cheated on you, you're like, oh, okay, I'm a little bit traumatized now. This kind of sucks. Then when you have a whole shelf of Louis Vuitton and Chanel and YSL and all the different possible purses you could ever have, but you know that every weekend he's going over to a hotel and he's smashing another one of his coworkers, you're starting to rethink the fact that, damn, these are a lot of Chanel bags, but I don't have not an ounce of love. I got a lot of Chanel bags though, no love though, okay? Here's the thing. As time goes on, those Chanel bags will start to become more and more unimportant to you in terms of the bigger picture here. And even the money, even though it might be good at first, will start to feel less and less important or impactful, especially as it relates to mending your heart or fixing what's actually aching you inside and paining you inside. And after a while, even all of the Chanel purses and the money and the sorries that he can give you won't mean anything. Because you want to know the only thing that actually means something? Action, okay? Not the pointless sorry, but not actually changing anything. Not the money and the cash that he can hand you, and not the Chanel big flap or whatever they call it, okay? Large flap. What is it? Classic flap. Chanel classic flap that he can give you, right? None of them will actually alleviate you from the pain that you're feeling, especially if he does something that truly hurts you, except for true change through action. And that action also has to be consistent. I should also add that, right? How do you spell consistent? Siri, how do you spell consistent? Chat, how you spell consistent? Because I'd be thinking it's the L and this and the oh, okay. If any of you pretend like you knew how to spell that off the bat, you liar. You a liar. Okay. I thought it was the C. Oh wow. I guess we can spell check in here. All right. So this is the thing, right? And I want you guys to be aware of that and aware of how important that is. Because I don't want you guys to have in your mind, because you might hear on TikTok and you might hear other creators talk to you about how, hey, getting the bag is amazing. Getting the Chanel bag, getting the cash, getting all this other stuff is amazing. And you don't worry about anything else as long as you're getting this. But at the end of the day, even when you do get that, it feels good for a little bit, but it's not really going to make you feel any better after a while. And you're still going to be left with that void in your heart and that ache in your heart eventually. And you're going to have to face that eventually. So what I want you to understand, and when it comes to boundaries with men, I want you to set the boundary. The only way to actually make me happy, if you wrong me, if you make a mistake, because we all make mistakes, is by action and consistency of that action. So when you say, hey, I apologize for, DMing those girls really inappropriate stuff when we're dating. I know that was inappropriate and I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, saying sorry and acknowledging that you did it wrong is cool and all. But what you really want to see is the fact that he changes that action and he changes it consistently. Not just says, yeah, I'm sorry, I won't do it anymore. And he stops doing it for a couple of days. And then he goes back to DMing those same girls, that same inappropriate stuff that you were upset with him before. Okay? Are we all on the same page? Now, do you guys have any questions to me about any of we discussed 10 today, of the 10 that we just discussed on the show? You guys can ask me any questions about any of these 10. I know there was a lot because, there's a lot of boundaries to set. You got to be setting them boundaries, okay? Someone said, what did someone say? Interesting. User says, take money and purses, find someone else, problem solved. Sure. I guess you can take the money and you can take the purses, but do leave then. Do leave if you're going to do that. Don't take the money and purses and say, maybe I'll stay for the next purse too, right? Don't do that. Then you have yourself in a trap, okay? Nessie says, can you do a short resume of the list? If you go over to my YouTube channel, which is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen there, for those of you watching on TikTok, you can go over to my YouTube channel. Just type in my first name, Tomisin. I'm live on YouTube at the same time as I'm live on TikTok. All you have to do is just rewind it, because you can rewind on YouTube even while I'm still live, and you'll be able to see all the points that I discussed there from start to finish. You'll get all the details. You won't miss anything that we discussed here, okay? So that goes for any of you who missed any other points or you came late and you're trying to get the other points, okay? Simi says, how to pace a guy who's really into you, like it almost feels like love bombing, okay? So that's a great question, because it happens even with guys that do or genuinely like you. You have to remind yourself and them that, hey, as much as we like spending time with each other, there are more days, okay? I know it sounds so simple and so easy, like when I'm explaining it like that, but you just have to, even in your feminine way, I like spending time with you too. It's almost like almost like dealing with a dog. I like spending time with you too, but there are more days. There will be more days we can see each other again. There will be more days we can go out on a date. There will be more days that you can ask me out, and I'm looking forward to those dates or those days. That's how you can approach that, right? And then allow him to do with that what he may. Some men will be like, oh, but I want to see you all day today and all day tomorrow. Cool. That's great. You smile it off, you laugh it off, you say, ah ha ha, yeah, that's amazing, that's awesome. There will be more days though, and you still go home, okay? Because the best thing that will ever happen to all you women, the best thing that will ever happen to you is for you to leave a date with a man wanting more of you. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is for you to leave a date and a man is thinking to himself, yeah, I'm completely satisfied. and cool on seeing her because I saw her more than enough time because I was on an 8-9 hour date with her, right? And that's what happens to some of you. You go on a 9 hour date with the man, and I'm this is gonna sound very weird, but like the moment you leave, he's thinking to himself, yeah, I seen enough of her. I don't need to talk to her for another week. Because it's almost like, like you spent so much time with someone, you don't have that same longing and desire for them as you did when you hadn't seen them for a while. And that happens to a lot of men a lot of the time, okay? Jasmine says, but I will not tolerate cheating or adultery, even though I said that not all men cheat or all men do that. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to tolerate that. We don't expect you to tolerate that. Jasmine also says it is hilarious when a man shows you who he really is because he spent $15 on a movie or food. That's why it's so important to pace yourself and then pace your relationships, because time will reveal a lot more than you can even imagine, okay? Someone says, how do we come back from this? Well, see, the thing about boundaries is you can always set them, really, no matter how much time has passed in your relationship. Here's, the thing though. Trying to set these type of boundaries with a man who's your boyfriend, it's gonna be a little bit of a rough patch in terms of readjusting because the dynamic of your relationship will change when you set these type of boundaries. Also, if you try and set these type of boundaries with a man who hasn't even committed himself to you, I can almost 100% guarantee you he will stop talking to you. So I hope that none of you have the expectation that you're gonna take this boundary advice on a guy who hasn't even shown you any desire to commit to you or build with you and think that that's magically gonna make him like actually want you. That's not gonna work like that. He's probably gonna stop talking to you. But I also want you to understand that's also a win. Because if you start setting good, hard, solid boundaries and you notice a guy no longer wants to be around you or talk to you, then he was probably only talking to you because you had so little boundaries that it made it convenient to talk to you. So understand that that's still a win, even though it's a little bit painful, okay? Justice Liberty says, if you're crashing out, should you try to recover or forget it? Recover in what sense? Recover in what sense? Like, you mean like you crashed out on your boyfriend and you're thinking about like, how should you recover for that? Or you just crashed out on a guy you were casually talking to and you're wondering how to recover from that, right? LP Baby says, can we tell a man they are cheap and women don't like that? LOL, I forgot the point this pertains to. It's just dealing with dusties in general. My advice is if you truly believe that the man you're dating or talking to is too cheap for you, don't even talk to him anymore. And you can just make up a reason why it's not working out for you. If you really honestly believe that in your heart of hearts, because here's the reality, LP Baby, and for any one of you who have that same question, you telling a man that he's too cheap is really not going to change anything. It's only going to put you guys at odds, because you have to understand what you're asking for is that I want you to be more generous with your money. If that's not in his already existing disposition, if that's not within his personality, you're not just going to automatically receive a change in his personality because you say that. If it doesn't come to him naturally to be generous with his money, whether he has money or not, you're not just going to be able to say, hey, you're cheap and girls don't like that. And he's going to be like, oh, what? Girls don't like that I'm cheap? Now all of a sudden I'm going to change. The moment you say that, he's just going to argue with you and say, I'm not cheap, I'm this, right? He's going to either, explain it away, or he's going to justify his actions, but he's not just going to, bend at your will. So the reason I'm saying that is if you really feel like that in your heart of hearts, you're better off finding someone who you're more aligned with rather than trying to get him to change his already existing personality, because guys aren't just going to turn around and they're just going to, it's going to hurt their ego, and then they're immediately going to try and justify why they're doing it. So there's no point. There's no point, to be honest, okay? Where did Justice Liberty? I wanted to answer her question, because she did ask a good question I want to say about the crashing out. Tell me the context, Justice Liberty, so I can answer your question about the crashing out. Someone says, is it fair to dismiss someone who approaches you in a way that doesn't sound like he's that interested? That's perfectly okay. In fact, that's actually what I teach and would advise you to do. If you meet a guy, or let's say a guy approaches you and you don't think his interest is there in terms of like, maybe he's just flirting with you to pass time, because you know what? I think we should have a work dedicated show, because there's so many work situations that we have to discuss. Because I'll tell you this, when a guy is flirting with you and he's at work, whether you're seeing him there at work, maybe you go to a place where he works at, or you guys work together, don't forget, when he's flirting with you, he is getting paid to be there. So you have in your mind that this is like a date. You have in your mind that, oh my God, he's flirting with me because he actually wants to be with me. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes you might be flirting with the guy and he might seem a little bit interested, but the interest is really stemming from the fact that it's amazing to pass time by flirting with a woman who is attractive like you when he's there to get paid and he has to be there anyways. And it's a great way to make the clock run faster when he can flirt with you instead of just being bored and standing there and twiddling his thumbs. So remember that, because I want you to never forget that when you're feeling like a guy might be a little bit interested, but you don't feel like he's taking that next step, understand that if he really was as interested as you're imagining, he would be taking that next step. And you wouldn't feel this masculine urge to like do something or take some action in order to get to that next step, right? i.e., flirting with the guy while he's at work and then wondering to yourself, why hasn't that guy asked me out on an actual date? That's literally because his interest level isn't there, that he actually wants to see you outside of work. That it's actually more about being with you, being around you and building with you and getting to know you than it is just flirting with you casually at work to pass time, right? I know that's painful to hear because you're probably thinking, damn, so that guy that was flirting with me at work didn't actually like me, but it's the reality, right? Guys, they'll just flirt to pass time. It's so much more fun and more stimulating than just being there and doing nothing, right? When you have to be at work. To flirt with you, have some tension, is a lot of fun, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll try and take you out, okay? Someone says, how to come back from staying at a guy's place so often? Stop staying at that guy's place. It's not rocket science there. You just got to stop staying at his place. Let me go up. Did Justice Liberty? Oh, not boyfriend, just a situationship. If you crash out on a guy who is just your situationship, my advice to you is, let's assume you guys are still talking. You're just not going to do that anymore. Do you understand what I mean? Like, you're going to totally switch your reaction and response to him. Now, this will come a little bit of a shock to him because he's going to be expecting now that you will react certain ways to certain things. And then when you don't, it's going to be kind of weird for him. He's going to be like, wait, why is she not crashing out anymore? Why is she not doing this? Why is she not doing that? But it's okay. I want you to continue being unbothered and let him see that if he's going to get your energy and feel your energy, that it'll be because he's doing right by you, not that because he's doing wrong by you. And he'll start to see that pattern and he'll start to make an adjustment in his behavior. I promise you, men will notice that. They notice that for sure. What if you're already giving girlfriend treatment to a guy too early? How can you fix it? Well, you stop doing that. You stop doing that. Now, you can make whatever excuse that you want. So, for example, if you've been giving a girlfriend treatment to a guy, you're sleeping over at his place, cooking him dinner, cooking him breakfast, cleaning his house, all that other stuff. Whenever he asks you to do that, or whenever, he's like, hey, so you can come over to my place and then I'm going to go to work and you can just stay there and you say, oh, no, actually, I have to go, out with my girlfriends. Oh, no, actually, I have a dance class to go to. Oh, no, actually, I was supposed to go here with my family, there with my family. And you just keep making your excuses, right? Because you need to reestablish that your life, your happiness is more than just him. And you're here to do more things than just serve a man, especially if you're giving him girlfriend treatment and you're noticing you haven't been getting anything in return, right? Because once you get into that place, it's too comfortable for men to want to make a change, to be honest with you, okay? Elise says, how to make a guy see you as wifey material, wifey material / prioritize you after being in a situationship. That's a whole show for another day, but there is a long process to that, which you must start, Elise. You must start that process by realizing when you make these changes, it might end up with you and him never speaking again. Because you have to understand, if a guy has been using you and getting access to you for free, if you've been delivering yourself to him like DoorDash and Uber Eats, you have to understand, for some of those men that you're in a situationship with, he will not like the idea of investing in you in a way that requires him to actually do work for you and do things for you. He will have become so accustomed to having you do everything and having you deliver yourself to him like Uber Eats and DoorDash that he'll be like, if this is going to be our new dynamic, I don't want any parts of it. I know it's horrible to hear, but that's literally the first step. Because once you start like watching my videos and once you start like making some changes and setting more boundaries, all of that's going to put you in the better place to be taken more seriously. But you also have to understand sometimes the man that you're seeing, he doesn't want serious. He wants you to be the joke that you've been to him for the entire time. Okay. Is it okay to get icks from a boyfriend, or is it rude? What if the guy gets mad how we get excuses for the way we act? For example, we don't like if a man raises their voice at us, but we can. So that's very hypocritical. So you're saying that you get some icks from guys, but you're wondering if that's rude? Having an ick is not rude. Okay, so that's a separate question. Having an ick is just about some things you might find attractive when men do it and some things you might find it unattractive when men do it. Guys have icks too. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, letting your icks, something as small as like the way he sits down in his chair, really actually truly affect your desire for him or your thinking of whether or not he's a real man because of how he sits in a chair, I feel like that's a little bit emotionally immature, to be honest with you. But I get it. We all have our small little icks that's just like, ew, why would you do that? But as it relates to, what was your other question? Oh, a guy raising his voice at you but you can raise your voice at him. That's hypocritical. Once you get on that road, you and your partner will be in opposition. Because if you start saying, I can do things that you can't, or I can hold you accountable in ways that I don't have to be accountable, you're never going to have a successful relationship, because then he's immediately going to turn around and say, who the hell do you think you are? I should get to do things that you can't do, and I should get to be the one that gets to do whatever, and you have to be accountable to those things, right? And it'll just be, one against the other. You guys won't be on a team. So if you start on that path, you might as well end the relationship. You know what I mean? Both of you have to be accountable to each other and to the relationship, because if you're not, no one's going to be able to follow any sort of rules, okay, or have any sort of discipline, okay? Seeing a man on his tippy toes, immediately no. Hey, I get it. We all have our own little small icks, okay? That's kind of funny. What are you guys' icks? Someone says he treated me differently when I stayed at his place a lot. I want how he used to treat me back. How? You stop staying at his place. You stop staying at that damn place all the time. And when he asks you to come over to his place, you tell him, no, I can't. Sorry, I'm doing other things. Okay? And you let that go on for a couple of months until he starts to get the hint that you're not going to be at his place all the time, chilling around like a beanbag. Okay? Anytime you're just around for men all the time and he never has to plan or schedule you in his life, that's immediately when men start to neglect you, to be honest. First reaction video here, which comes from a creator named Rachel.
Terrible experience dating a man with hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok that calls himself a dating coach. Yes, this is the man I've been referencing in several of my videos. This was my worst dating experience, but my biggest lesson. And this is the first time I experienced love bombing. It was a very intense form of emotional love bombing for me. He moved things super quickly from day one. He was able to get me to trust him very quickly, which is my fault. Like, I was naive. I should not have trusted him. He was able to get me to a very emotionally vulnerable, intimate place with him very quickly, just for him to literally flip like a switch. Like, he played me. Because I never experienced love bombing or anything like this type of behavior, I did not pick up on any of the red flags until much later. I've never been so hurt by someone in such a short period of time of knowing them. Like, the entire relationship was like 5 weeks. Part of the reason I trusted him is because of his platform. I just assumed he was mature. He's also 9 years older.
She's not talking about me, by the way, because I know when she says dating coach TikTok, some of you be like, is she talking about him? She's not talking about me. I don't know this girl.
I assumed he was emotionally intelligent. I assumed at the bare minimum he wouldn't play games with me, because his whole platform is about dating with intention, clear communication, like not playing games with people. He proved me wrong though. Anyway, Nico the Daddy Academy has a new talk show coming out on YouTube, and I am a guest on the second episode, I believe it is. I told Nico this story in a lot more detail, so I'll post a link to it when it comes out. But yeah, this man should not have a dating platform with a female audience and so much access to women that trust him through his platform. Like, that's how he got me. Low-key kind of scared of this guy, because what are you doing? Women
Okay. There's only probably like 5 that we see on a consistent basis that make videos about dating and then from, like that speak towards women. Who do you think he's talking about? Because I only know some, it's probably less than 10 YouTubers that are big enough that she could be even talking about. Because I feel like, I know most of them. Who do you guys think she's talking about? I'm not into gossip. I'm just curious who you guys think she's talking. She said it's not Nico from the Daddy Academy. She said she's going on his show to talk about who it is or the experience of who it is. She didn't actually say that. It's not Nico. So you guys have to rule him out. Okay. Okay, I see some names. Very interesting. Interesting. I'm not going to say anything. I just think that's interesting.
Okay, y'all. So I think the guy that I was texting had been using chat GPT, whatever it is. And I'm only saying that because of the format of text. Like the format that he would text was...
Didn't I tell you guys that you might think it's really stupid, but people be using ChatGPT to respond to your messages nowadays. Like, it's not like girls and guys. So for those of you being on dating apps,
like a little different. Like, it was always these dashes in between sentences. It was a little weird. I'm going to insert it so y'all see what I'm talking about. So I never really paid no attention to it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm thinking he's just like really great at formatting his words and communicating, because that's what really kept me, prolonging this, whatever. So, and then he would like respond to each thing that I would say. Like, and when he responded, he had a paragraph for each different topic that I would say in the message. So I'm like, okay, period. He's locked in with, what I'm talking about. So we went on our first date. Y'all, this man is mute. He had a thick accent, but I'm like, okay, you should be saying, like, I don't know, like, it wasn't even close to how he texts. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's just nervous. I don't know. We leaves the date or whatever. He starts messaging me again. And this time, the format was different. I feel like now that he was comfortable with, he may have felt like, okay, now I'm comfortable. She's seen like how I talk or whatever. He started actually texting the way he talks. So I'm like, hey, your text seem a little different now. Was that you texting me before our date? He was like, yeah. Why, who else would it have been? Chat. That's who. So I'm just like, it's very different. I'm like, go back up. Look at the format. Look at the paragraphs. Now you're like texting saying am instead of I am. Like, am home. I am home. Is that what you're trying to say? It's just like, no, babe, this is not gonna work for me. I'm like, maybe I should ask chat. Should I both this bitch know yoga mat? Chat.
Shout out, sister. No, okay, so this is exactly why I want you to avoid, we talked about the boundary today. I want you to avoid over texting people that you haven't met in person. Now, see, you guys get the luxury of like, seeing me on a 2-hour, 3-hour, sometimes live stream. You're going to get very close to my real personality because it's just very hard to fake the way you'll talk, the rhythm in which you'll say things, the way you use words and things like that. Because just when you see someone for an extended period of time, it's very hard to fake that, right? But for guys that you're seeing and dating or potentially trying to see and date, and you haven't even like gotten a chance to see them in person for an extended period of time or see what they're like, I'm telling you, it can be such a drastic difference between the way that they'll text, and you might even be, it doesn't matter how convincing it is that you guys share the same banter, you share the same humor, you share the same way of thinking. Like, I'm telling you, it can really go left when you finally meet the person. So if we think of it like that, then why don't we like speed run to the process of actually meeting the person so that you don't have to spend so much time guesstimating or feeling like you guys are vibing with each other and then never actually ending up vibing because you meet him and then it's like this, right? You meet him and realize he was using Chat GPT to mess. That's insane. Imagine, okay, so if he's doing that, like really ask yourself, the amount of guys that you talk to on Hinge or Bumble, do you really think every single one of them is just actually talking to you that way? Because here's the other thing that some of you don't realize, and you know, earlier versions of the Players Club, I actually went through this where we went through to enemy territory and saw how guys are teaching and training guys to go about dating apps. And a lot of them are copy and pasting their messages, copy and pasting their prompts, copy and pasting like even the way that they'll message you from the very beginning to getting your number, because they're seeing other creators teach them that this is the way that's the most successful. So you're meeting someone and you're thinking that's their personality, but they stole it from another content creator who probably stole it from someone else.
This is my impression of a girl who has a crush on a boy named Chris. Chris. This is my impression of a girl who has a crush on a boy named Chris. Chris. This is
Okay. Okay. I guess it looks believable. That was it.
my impression of a girl who has a crush on a boy named Chris. Chris.
Her teeth are really straight. Okay.
Mr. Benjamin, Intercontinental,
Monumental. We go live forever. Chop another baka. It must be better. So Kizaza. Lao. 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 Wait, who sent this to me? Who sent this? How did you guys know I like this song? I mess with this song. This my song right here. I mess with this song. Why'd you guys send this to me? You must have known I mess with this song. I'm Nigerian, so I mess with Afro beats. I mess with this song. It's like one of my favorite songs on my playlist right now. This is interesting though. So is she just literally just singing it the whole time? Oh, okay. This has like 1 million likes. It's just her sitting there singing. Okay. Vibes. Okay. I guess. Just a great song. It's a great song. The song's called Laho. L-H-A or L-A-H-O. Laho. It's a great song.
Okay, so a lady came on this app and she said, my BBL stinks, okay? She said my BBL stinks. And I was like, what?
What type of videos are y'all sending me? What?
And she said, yes, my BBL stinks. It leaks stinky stuff. And my sit-down air is stinky. And I was like, what? And then another girl made a post about it. And she was like, you know that lady who came on here and said her BBL was stinky? Well, the stinkers got offended and reported and got to take it down. And I was like, what? And then she was like, this woman was just trying to raise awareness. And I was like, you know, yeah. And I opened up the comment section. The first comment I read, the airport in Miami has a fresh BBL smell.
Don't send me stuff like this.
So I never believed how many men are actually buying OnlyFans until I worked for a customer service job for a bank. And so obviously, like, I could see all their transactions and stuff. When I tell you, every other man who came on and called on the phone had OnlyFans transactions. And a lot of the calls I would get would be about like, oh, there's fraud on my account, or there's like, you know, charges, I need to dispute this, da-da-da-da-da. And at first, I would always be like, oh, is it the OnlyFans? And they would be like, no, it's Apple. And so, like, I stopped asking that question because it was never the OnlyFans. Like, it was always some other charge. Like, the OnlyFans charge was purely intentional. Like, wow, it's just so crazy to me that men spend their hard-earned money. And when I tell you would go through, like, the men that would do this, you would go through, bro, and it would be so many just charge after charge after charge. And I think in their head, too, they're like, oh, it's just a little amount. It all adds up, bro. You've spent thousands. You've spent thousands on OnlyFans. to see like naked women that you can see for, can't you see that stuff for free on Pornhub? Like, I don't get it. Like, you know what, I guess I don't want to hate, you know what I mean, support the girls, like I support girls in sex work, but like for me personally, like, and for women in general, like we would never do that. Like, men are so embarrassing. So I never believed.
I'll be honest with you, I try to see others, like, to a certain extent, like I see, it's tough. It's tough. I've never paid to see a girl naked. And I can't even imagine feeling of myself if I were to do that. But I guess it's just from being lonely, but that's really, that makes me feel very icky. I think too, I think more men do this than probably most of us imagine. So I think having an open conversation with a guy about the idea of this and how they feel about it would be a great jump off point to kind of see where he's at. You know what I mean? Because some men, how do I explain this? The more you listen to someone talk, the better understanding you'll get of how they think. And some men will reveal themselves to you slowly but surely if you just ask enough questions. A lot, obviously, like, how often are you just going to be coming out and saying, hey, do you pay for OnlyFans? But clearly, there's a market for it. So some men are paying for it. And not all of those men are single men, which means there are women out there who are dating and even married to men who are actively paying for, can I even keep saying that word? OF. And, you know, their woman doesn't even know about it. So definitely a conversation to have, not like indirectly asking, but in just, you know, oh, you know, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about like guys paying for that? And how do you feel about that? Just to kind of let him talk and see how he feels and see what his response is, right? If he's more on the line of like, oh, you know, I don't see any problem with it. I think that, you know, it's empowering the woman. And I think that, you know, if men pay for it, then, you know, it's their prerogative. And if you notice him kind of defending it, maybe something to look into there. You know, I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't see the allure, to be honest with you.
Chase your dream, fuck nigga. You out here scared of what people gonna say about you and your dream. Go chase your dream. Yeah. Chase your dream, fuck nigga. You out here scared of what people gonna say about you and your dream. Go chase your dream. Yeah. Chase your...
I'm not gonna say anything mean. Nothing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna. He's right. 100%. I'm not gonna do it.
So a girl reached out to me saying she had a very similar experience with the same exact man, the same dating coach. Her and I are gonna get drinks.
Oh wait, is this the same girl from last time? This is the same girl from the first video that we watched. Oh damn, she got a whole series about this?
Together next weekend. Can't wait. Our stories are eerily similar. He met her the day after things ended between him and I. He started dating her and he pretty much did the exact same thing to her. There is a 10-year age gap between her and him. There's a 9-year age gap between me and him. Hearing her story just reaffirms my experience with him and it confirms what I suspected about him. Just think about it though. He talks to women all day, every day about dating. He has gotten so into the female brain, our thoughts, our emotions, what we fundamentally want and need in a man. So when he sees a beautiful woman that he wants, he knows exactly what to do to manipulate her. And then he comes on TikTok talking about dating with purpose, dating with intention, how to communicate, acting like he's the shit. He's insane. Let's not underplay this. He is insane. He is a narcissist. Period. So a girl reached out to me saying she had a very...
Okay. This video is tagged Manhattan, New York. So I don't know how many creators you guys watch. There's only so many that speak to women and are living in the New York area because she obviously dated him, like went on in-person dates with him. So she obviously has to be living in the same area as the guy. I don't know. Who do you guys think it is? Right? When is she? And make sure you guys keep me updated on that. Let's see, actually. I'm nosy. Let's see. Did she give any updates to who this is? This can't be her whole thing though. Did she give any updates to this guy? It doesn't look like there's any updates. Let me see. Excuse me. I want to see if she did anything.
I don't care how beautiful or how attractive you are, man or woman. If you are a mean person, if you have a mean...
No. If she does, Is this it?
Sometimes I forget, like, men really just want to... If they lust for you, they'll really do anything to get it. Dudes are not nice to me just to be nice. I heard someone say that lust looks like love until it's time to sacrifice them.
Huh, interesting. If she does,
So a girl reached out to me saying she had a very similar experience with the same exact man.
if she does a follow-up on that, I want to see it. So send it. Make sure you guys send it to me because obviously we need to follow what's going on with that situation. But I see a lot of you have an idea on who it is. He must be really bad. If someone's making a video about it, he must be like bad. Like that's crazy.
Men be like, you did not deserve to get hurt like that. I would never hurt you like that. You deserve to be hurt like this. Men be like, you did not deserve to get hurt like that. I would never hurt you like that. You deserve to be hurt like this. Men.
This is why male best friends are basically useless, because they're pretending to be your best friend so that they can be a shoulder to cry on, so that as you're crying, they hope that your tears, they fall all the way down onto your... Never mind. They're just not there for the same reason you're there. I'll say it like that.
Ranking how mad I'd be if my man did any of this bullshit. Binge watching a show that we agreed to watch without each other. Go fuck yourself. Yup. Yup. What the hell? Yeah. Who the fuck? Yeah. Oh, bitch. So what the fuck are you friends with another girl for, you fucking whore? Dancing in a port... Bitch. He'd be getting shot. Oh, these are in the wrong order. Ranking how mad I'd be if my man did any of this bullshit.
Some of those were wild. I don't know. Yeah, some of those were wild. I won't lie.
I watched a TikTok 5 years ago that changed my view on life, and I still think about it every single day. And I need you to hear this story because one time I opened up TikTok expecting to laugh, and I left bawling my eyes out because this woman changed my life. I can't find her, and I'm so sad, so if you do, please tag her. But I opened up my TikTok, and it was an old woman, and she said, I wend my life away. I decided that when I got married, I'd be happy. When I had kids, then I'd be happy. When my kids went off to college, then I'd be happy. When my kids have kids and I'm a grandparent, I will be happy. And she woke up one day. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I literally can't tell this story without crying. And she woke up one day and she was 80 years old. And she said, I went my whole life away. She went her whole life away. She kept saying, when this happens, I will be happy. And then she woke up and realized she spent her whole life doing that. And that video has never left my mind. And you realize that happiness is not a destination. Happiness is not something that you get when you hit a goal because you're always going to be on to the next one. Happiness is a feeling, is an emotion that you can feel right now. You can feel present in this moment right now, because the truth is you are never going to be happy no matter what goal you get, because you're always going to be looking forward to the next goal. And I know in this moment you are living at least one of the manifestations that you used to pray for. So don't stop going after your goals. Don't stop manifesting your dream life. Just remember that the time in between those goals is when life is happening. And follow me for more.
So I like this. I like actually this video because it does apply to dating, and it applies to dating in the sense that when you're thinking about the idea of losing someone, you're also looking at like, oh, something is being taken away from me, right? I'm losing out on something. And then you forget the reality that even in the process of losing someone or them no longer being in your life, it can actually add a lot to your life, right? Because you gain experience from being with that person, being around that person, knowing what you don't want. And you learn about the things that work for you, the things that don't work for you. And then you also, in the process of getting all that experience and knowledge, are more equipped now to be a better partner for the person who you're actually meant to be with. So, you know, and everything is like this in life, right? You can either be a glass half full or glass half empty type of person, right? Like you can also always, you can see all breakups as this tragic moment in your life where you'll never be able to find happiness outside of this, after this breakup, or you can see them all as a way to get one step closer to the person who you're actually supposed to be with. And either way, your life's going to go on, and eventually you are going to be 80 years old. Hopefully we all live to 80. But if you choose to live your life one way, you'll be very happy throughout those 80 years. And if you choose to live your life another way, you'll be very miserable throughout those 80 years. So it really is your choice. Someone said 100. I hope we all live to 100. Okay, let's hop into our next most amazing segment. For those of you who are OG Players Club members, you know what's coming. It's a special time. It's an amazing time. It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. I'm going to tell you right now, before this thing starts glitching, don't look at your watch. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't, oop, my Discord popping up on the screen. Let me see this here. This here. There we go. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Loud or quiet, chat? Which one should I do it? How should I do it? How should I do it? How should I do it? Loud or quiet? Score time! Yeah. Okay, chat. Let's hop into our Discord segment of the show. Enough silliness. So this is how Discord time works. I'm going to explain this to you because there are a few different ways for you to submit your question to me. So Discord times where all the amazing members of the Players Club Discord. Why am I so short in the screen there? Look at how small look how down my face is. Let me fix this. Let me fix this right here. There we go. Okay. Looked like I was like a small itty bitty mice down there. All right. So Discord time is where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their situationship or their relationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are 3 different ways for you to submit your question. I'm going to explain all 3 of them here to you right now. The first way to submit your question to me is by sending it into our free relationship advice section, which is available by just going into the link in my bio if you're watching this on TikTok, or in my description if you're watching this on YouTube. Go to where it says Players Club Discord, and you can drop your question into into our Discord free section here. Now, you can see all these questions here that says new, and they're highlighted. These are questions that haven't yet been answered by me because I'm obviously just one human being and there's so many questions to go. So if you ask your question here in the free section here today, it does take me a couple of weeks to get to your question simply because of how many questions there are. Now, if you're someone who wants to get your question answered, but you don't want to be waiting that long to get a question answered because you're a very impatient type of person, that's also fine. The way you're going to get your question answered sooner, though, and be able to skip the line is with our premium Discord relationship advice. Now I'll explain to you how this works. You get to skip the line of people because I read out these questions before I go into the free section. Now, the way that you're only allowed to do that is if you go into the link in my bio first on TikTok, if you're watching it there, or in my description on YouTube, if you're watching it there, click where it says premium Discord relationship advice. And then once you click that link, you will be prompted to donate to the show. And also in your donation, you'll be prompted to add in your Discord username and the title of your question. Then when you send that donation in, I will receive a notification on my phone about your donation and the fact that that's your message. And then when I receive that from you, I will then proceed to accept reading out your question from the premium section, because obviously you're getting to skip the line of people. Now, the third way to submit your question to me is for those of you who want to get your question answered, but you don't want to have all your information read out loud on the show. This is our private relationship hotline hour. It's my private relationship hotline where you can send in to me your private question and I will send you a voice message back, right? So this link is available in the Discord. It's also available in the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description. Click where it says private relationship advice. And then you type out your question, as many paragraphs as you want, details as you want. You send it into me. I respond with a voice message. Usually takes me like 8 to 10 minutes in terms of like how much detail I'll go in my voice message. Sometimes it's 15 and sometimes it's 20. And even times it has been 30 before, depending on how much detail is required for your answer, okay? But I promise I always give comprehensive answers so you can ask your question that way. Now, let's hop into our premium section because we have a few questions to go here. And let's get started here with Sis, okay? So Sis says a few questions. So he met my family. So Sis is referring to her boyfriend. We have ongoing sagas here. You guys have to be here for every show to know what's going on. He met my boyfriend. I have only met his brother, his best friends, and his sister's husband. Okay. This is because he told me he felt insecure and would feel more secure if he met my family. Okay. You've met. All right. I bought him up to, I think so. I brought him up and to them and they invited him. They didn't like him because he speaks like Muslims do. And my parents are strict Christians. We've been dating for 9 months, together for 6 months. I keep talking to him about me being worried my parents won't let me marry him, but I feel insecure that I haven't met his family yet. Okay, yeah, you've met the sisters, the best friends, and okay, so not the actual family. He said he wants to travel with me this summer before he tells them about me because they are strict and would think that he's traveling with a girl. Muslims are not even allowed to kiss girls before marriage. I agreed, but still feel anxious. Do I have anything to worry about? So you're saying both his family and your family are both strict and both very religious and both don't want them to marry someone who's of a different religion. I'll be honest with you, sis. I think you're fighting a losing battle here because while both of you are allowed to do whatever you want with your life in terms of like your happiness and marry whoever you want, the reality of it is if both of your families are that against you being with the other person, like at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, how much is it really worth? Because I know this is not going to be something you want to think about right now because it's probably too stressful. But ask yourself a question. If your family is so strict that they don't support the idea of you dating a Muslim, and his family is so strict, his family doesn't support the idea of him dating a Christian woman, who's going to come to the wedding? Your wedding's going to be full of no family and damn near no friends and a couple of people who happen to accept the fact that you guys are together. So you're going to have what, 10, 12 people at your wedding? I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm just saying, like, is that the life that you want? Like, does that sound like something you can endure? The idea of like, you're getting married. You don't see not one of your blood relatives there. And same thing for him. And a day that's supposed to be filled with joy and happiness and be filled with memories, you're going to be looking back on those pictures and be like, none of the people that I thought loved me and I thought I loved were there. I'm not saying this to demoralize you. I'm just saying, like, are you really ready for that? Like, are you really ready for that? Okay. I'm just asking you, because you guys have to think about that if you're really going to go through with this, because it's really just going to be like you and him against the world. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's very tough. That's very tough. I've gone through this, I've gone through his whole phone. I found out he's very low, that there's literally no girls anywhere, and he never responds to the ones that try. The only bad thing I found out was 2 weeks after he asked me to be his girlfriend, aka 6 months ago, he screenshotted his famous friend who liked his post and bragged to his best friend and said, I'd still hit. Months later, she swiped up on his story, calling me gorgeous, and said he said, thanks, I know, right? She's always likes and comments on his posts. He never even likes any of hers, and he never responds to any of her comments. He only responds to his guy friends' comments. Okay. I think he only sent it to his friends to brag. I don't think he's actually interested in her because she threw herself at him before we dated and he never went for her. I also found out he was a huge F-boy before we dated, but after we dated, it was a whole 360. Half of his messages with his friends and brother was him overthinking my every move. Okay, so you saw that. He never brought up any other girl and would always ignore the Instagram reels of hot girls that his brother sent him. Should I bring up seeing the I still hit message, or should I just get over it? I mean, you kind of searched for your answers in terms of going through his phone, and you didn't see anything that really was relevant to like you, in the sense that like, so you also have to ask yourself, whenever you want to confront a guy about something, for example, because you technically weren't supposed to go through his phone. But let's just say, hypothetically, you wanted to confront him about something you saw on his phone, even though you weren't supposed to go through it without his permission, right? You should have, if you really wanted to see something, you should have just asked him to see his phone, right? Because that's the mature way to go about it. I get it, though. But here's the thing. You went through his phone, and all you found was a message that he sent to his boys before you guys even started dating. So you have to ask yourself, when you present him that information, what are you actually going to do with that? Like, is the difference in his answer going to be the difference between you guys breaking up or not? If it's not, then what's the actual purpose of you bringing it up? Because if you're just going to bring it up and be like, hey, I saw on your phone when I went through it that, hey, you said that you would hit, hypothetically, a girl who you thought was fine, and you sent your boys a message about this before we started dating. Now, is his answer going to be the difference between you saying, hey, if he answers this way and says, yeah, I said that, or whatever the case may be, then I'm going to break up with him? Or if he explains it away, then I'm not going to break up with him? If it's not like that, razor thin in terms of like, hey, this is the difference between make it or break it, I just don't see a purpose in bringing it up, simply because you're going to fight about it. And then what? It's like the situation already happened. And clearly, from what you've said in your message, you haven't seen anything that is of recent and has ever been since you guys started dating. And other than that small thing, you haven't seen, this is what your words, you haven't seen any other thing that concerns you in the slightest. So my question is, if that's the case, is it worth it for you guys to have this conversation about something that you may feel like is not necessarily going to be the difference between you guys breaking up or not? I'm not saying you can't, have your feelings or emotions towards things. I'm just asking you, like, after that, what's the end goal? You understand what I mean? Like, there should be something after that. There should be a purpose to the conversation. Usually each summer, me and my family go to Lebanon. I don't really enjoy it much because of the dangerous roads, bad electricity, etc. I was planning on going this summer to do my hair because the hairdressers there are way better than the ones in the US. Also, I wanted to see my friend there. My boyfriend took me on a 4-hour drive and paid $1,000 to get my hair done exactly how I wanted it, so that I wouldn't go. What? So that I wouldn't go because he wants to travel with me during the summer. And he said, when I went to Lebanon last summer, it was the hardest thing he's ever experienced. A bit dramatic, but okay. I agreed to stay here because I'm not keen on going anyways. We will be in that 6 months boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage phase you talked about, where we are allowed to see each other, you said 6 days a week, but to take 1 day off. Does that mean it's fine if I see him as much as I want those 6 days, or is that bad? I would say it's not necessarily bad. My own thing is that, like, if you're going to actually, like, see, this is the problem. When you start saying like, okay, we're about to hit the 6 months and I want to go right up to the line of the 6 days, like I really want to push it to be as much of the 6 days as I possibly can squeeze in. My concern is that very easily the 6 days will bleed into the 7th day. And then you'll find yourself very quickly in a scenario where it's not actually 6 days anymore. It's like 6 days and a half a day. And 6 days and a half a day will turn into 6 days and 3/4 of a day, which will be damn near like 7 days. You understand what I mean? In terms of like how much you're seeing him. And I'm not saying that it's bad to see your boyfriend. Obviously, he's your boyfriend. But what you also have to factor in is, when is his time to miss you? Like, when is his time to continue desiring to see you more or do more things for you? Like, men need that inspiration and motivation. Like, you have to understand that on an ongoing basis, they need to have that desire for you, to be with you, to do things for you, to see you again, to spend more time with you, in order for them to stay motivated and stay like in that place of hunger, in that place of, you know, to a certain extent, chasing and pursuit, right? Where he's showing up for you and he's trying his best for you. If you don't give him a single day off, it's very difficult for him to stay in that place of hunger and desire, because he's seeing you so much. Where can he go from there? His only way to go is to say, yeah, I see you 7 days a week. Now, it's hard for me to keep saying I miss you when I can't possibly miss you when I see you every single day. And that's a problem. That's not the state you want your boyfriend to be in. My medical school that I'm getting into next semester is near where he lives. 1 hour, 15-minute flight. He can fly planes, okay? So it will be easy for him. However, with his new business, he plans on buying huge houses in every state, including Florida, specifically Miami. His main place of living will be his house that's near me, because that's where all his businesses are, and he will always visit and fly me on vacations, as well as, however, I think having a house... Wait, what? Just like a huge run-on sentence. Fly me on vacations. However, I think having a house in Miami is bot behavior. Should I just wait it out and see his actions by then? What's the purpose of the why Miami? Like, why did he choose Miami? I would love to understand why the Miami location. He has my location. He follows me everywhere. I'll be at the gym. Then he will appear at the mall. He'll appear just unexpectedly. Okay. At the library, he'll appear. We no longer plan anything ahead unless it's something like a big trip. He will, for example, see my location, follow me to the library. What? Take me out to a restaurant and golfing when I'm done studying because I'm hungry and tired. Is this a bad thing? If it is, how do I stop it? Okay, I don't know how you got here, but this is a little bit concerning. I'm not saying it's bad that he does nice things for you, but this is a little bit concerning because there's no this is kind of like a version of a boundary. There's no boundary in the sense of like, hey, I'm doing my own thing right now. Like, if you want to pull up on me, you can, if I allow you to, but to be just showing up, like I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit scary, because even I'm a man, right? So even I'm imagining being in a relationship with someone where like I'm literally like doing something, like let's say I'm out and I'm like at work or something like that, and like I just hear like a knock on the door, or I just hear someone say, oh, someone's downstairs for you, and I go downstairs and it's like my partner, and it's like I'm like, okay, that's cool, like once in a while for a surprise thing. But if on a consistent basis, I'm like at work, at home, I'm at the gym, and like it's not like he goes to your school. It's not like you guys are like always hanging out in the same places and it's actually a coincidence. It's literally him figuring out your location and then pulling up on you where you're at. That's a little bit concerning for me, because it's just like, how are you supposed to have any sort of privacy when he's doing that, aside from maybe being in your apartment by yourself? And, you know, God forbid he gets a key to your apartment, and now he's literally going to be like, you could be in the bathtub, like, just show up. And it's like, to not even have a conversation with you, it's just like, there has to be a little bit of like some privacy or some sort of boundary there. I just don't think that that's appropriate. He is always eager to see me and always sorry, to answer your question on how to stop it, I think you guys might have to actually have a conversation about this, because while it might seem lighthearted in the beginning, I think that this gets inappropriate very fast, like if it's not discussed. And I think that you have to start telling him like, hey, if you want to come and pull up and stuff like that, I don't mind you surprising me, once in a while. But like, if you're going to like come and just like show up at the mall when I'm at the mall, like you need to tell me and like say something, because like for you to just casually just like be there is just a little bit like jarring. And it's like, you have my location. Obviously, like I don't have any problem with you coming or joining me on things, and I'm never trying to hide anything from you. But like, I think that we should communicate about like, if you want to come somewhere, then ask me. If you want to, hang out with me, then just ask me. Because when you just show up, it doesn't make me feel like we're planning anything or scheduling anything. You're just kind of like there, and that doesn't really feel the same. I don't like that, that's not like a date, right? And I don't like that, right? So that's a conversation that you have to actually have with him, because I think that's kind of strange. He is always eager to see me and always tells me how he's so in love with me, but always tells me how every man except him only uses girls for pineapples. Okay. I told him it's true. And a lot, I think you meant to say a lot of men I've seen. However, a lot of men love their girlfriends. He disagrees. He disagrees that a lot of men love their girlfriends. Okay. This made him seem sus to me, so I wanted to check something. Usually after we hang out, he always tries to prolong the date. When I was on my period, I went for a sprint. I fell and ended up scraping my elbow, both knees and hand really bad. I sent him a pic. He was on his way to help. Now, that's a pulling up that I don't mind, right? He's trying to help you. You know what I mean? But I told him not to, because I'm close to my house and my parents would see him. My parents don't know I'm still dating him, and they thought I ended it after they told me they didn't like him. My dad helped me, and I fainted. Oh, it was that bad? But then I was good. So later in the day, I went to the library to study. He was in a shooting range with his family. His family doesn't know about me, because so he couldn't just leave, but I honestly expected him to cancel those plans and take care of me. Okay. He texted me a few times, but I was studying in the library. Then he pops up with bandages, wound cleaners, wound covers, and redid each one of my wounds because we didn't have the appropriate bandages at home. The next morning, he changed them for me, and the evening, he did it again and took me out mini golfing. It's sweet and all. However, I realized that he was okay only seeing me for 1 to 2 hours those days on my period. Okay, interesting. While when I'm not, and we can have pineapples. Yeah. He always tries his best to prolong the time we spend together. So you're saying when you're not on your period, he tries to prolong the time. When you are, all of a sudden he's cool with shortening it. It's still very sweet how he took care of me, but is this a red flag that he is more eager to prolong dates when we can actually have pineapples? I would say, okay, if the way you're painting the narrative, yes. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is something that happens regularly or if this is a one-off situation. But if you're noticing a pattern of behavior, then yes, I would say it's a little bit concerning, because for him to be Mr. I want to pull up at you on the gym, I want to see you this day, I want to pull up at you on the mall, I want to hang out with you every single day. Like, if it was up to him, you guys would be hanging out every single day. So for that guy to turn into, now all of a sudden he only wants to see you 1 to 2 hours, in the day when you're on your period, that is concerning, because it's not like, oh, that's his regular disposition or his regular pattern of behavior. All of a sudden it changes when he knows that things can escalate. So that is actually very concerning for me. I would love for you to monitor that. And if you can, I would really love you to even one day maybe prolong your period, like just for whatever reason, like make up a story that it's taking a lot longer than usual, and then see how eager he is. Like, let's say you lengthen it out for 2 weeks. I know it sounds really strange to do. And let's see if for a 2-week span, he will actually change his whole desire to see you. Because 1 week is one thing. But if he goes 2 weeks and he's completely changing up his desire to see you, he doesn't seem as eager anymore, then you really have something to be concerned about. Because if this is such a random thing to bring up, right? Every man except for him uses girls for pineapple. Who says that? Like, I get it in terms of like casual conversation, but to say that and then to say, yeah, most men, they don't love their girlfriends. They just use them for pineapples. Okay. So it's concerning for him to say that and then you to say this as well. So I would love for you to monitor that. I think that would be a great way to monitor that, just to see how he reacts to that. So here you also say, he gives me such a hard time whenever I want to go out with my friends, etc., and keeps telling me the whole time, I trust the locks on my Lambo, but I wouldn't park it in the ghetto. Andrew Tate BS. So this is a quote from Andrew Tate is what you're saying. How do I stop him from being annoying whenever I want to hang out with my friends? You just go and hang out with your friends. Like, you just do it. And sometimes you can't feel bad about what you do for yourself because it's for you. Even if it makes other people feel bad. Because at the end of the day, you hanging out with your friend isn't doing something bad. He just might want to spend all his time with you and want you to spend all his time with him, but that's just not what's going to happen. Here's the other thing too, like, sis, you know, I love you. I care about you. I want you to do well. I want you to be successful and I want you to be happy. And I know this guy makes you happy a lot, but here's the thing, like, I'm telling you, more than you know, I understand what you're going through, and I am concerned that this situation isn't going to work out because of reasons outside of the two of you. If your families are like this as it relates to religion, I think that it's going to be a struggle. And I think that, yes, you guys are having all these different issues or about other things that could be worked through. But this main issue about you guys being of a different religion and neither of your families approving of being with the other person that's of a different religion is not something you can ignore. And I really, honestly, I think I told you this in your last message. I'll tell you this again. This is the thing that needs to be addressed before you can even move forward and do anything. Because unless you and him have a sit-down conversation with your family, which you kind of already know how your family feels, and you and him have a sit-down conversation with your parents and maybe join them together, I just don't see how this is gonna work out. Because like I said, sis, what are you guys supposed to do? Get married and no one comes to your wedding? Is that really gonna, like, you might say, yeah, I'll do what I want, I'll be fine, it doesn't matter, whatever makes me happy. That sounds good in a fairy tale, but when it actually comes down to it, are you really willing to sacrifice your relationship with your family, your dad, your brother, your siblings, and him as well, to just get married to him and then you live your life with him and you don't really see anyone or have anyone else, and then probably move to a city or state in which you don't have any other friends or family because you're living with him? Like, I just, you know, I really want you to consider what your life would look like in totality if you actually went through with this. Like, you're really setting yourself up for a situation in which, yeah, you might be the wife to a rich, you know, man. You might be a rich man's wife, but if you have no one else in your life and you're completely isolated because you're his wife and because your parents don't approve of this marriage, what is your life going to become? And how difficult will it be to set boundaries then? How difficult will it be to like have anyone else to talk to, you know, get your emotions out with, to connect with, when all of the people in your life you've alienated yourself from because you've chosen this guy and, you know, against your parents' wishes, your family's wishes. I'm not saying it's right for them to be racist. I'm not saying it's right for them to have a, you know, a preconceived idea of who he is because of his religion. But what I am saying is that's your reality. So you know deep down in your heart, if you choose to marry him, your parents are most likely not going to be in your life anymore. Is that something you like? I know it sounds horrible, but is that really something you're willing to sacrifice? To not have your family, you know, support you, be at your wedding, and be part of your life anymore because of this situation? You really need to discuss and think about that. I know he's going to tell you everything's fine and everything's all right, but I think you have to have a real honest conversation with maybe your parents, yourself, and maybe someone else as well that you trust, because I'll be real with you. I don't think that this is going to work for that reason. It's going to be very, very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Okay. And I want you to be happy, but I just have to be real with you. Okay. Karma asked the R word. Okay. There's a guy I would like to get to know. He seems nice, but a red flag. He said he would like a quiet night in. Of course. We haven't spent enough time together for that. I did what you said. I'd love to see you, but that isn't my vibe. He asked, what's not your vibe? I did not reply for 2.5 hours. He sent a question mark. The next day I replied, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm pressured for sex. I know I should have ignored him. Please don't be mad. It's okay. It's fine. It's better than going, to be honest. Him, you won't see me unless there are relationship plans. This is like a version of gaslighting, because you didn't say that, right? All you simply said is, well, what I would have loved for you to say is, I don't want to be pressured for sex, is I would rather us like get to know each other in a place where we can it can be less pressure than overall, because the truth of the matter is going to someone's house is pressure, because it's just you and them, and there's no escape, right? In that sense, right? And being more comfortable, feeling more safe, meeting someone in a place where it's like, hey, you guys can continue to get to know each other with less pressure. Now, nothing wrong with what you said. You setting that boundary is perfectly fine. But his response is concerning to me, because why does it have to be considered a relationship plan just because you guys aren't laying in his bed, right? Like, there's plenty of things you guys, if it's money that's the problem, there's plenty of things you guys could do that are very cheap, if not free. Even just going for a walk, even just walking around town, whatever the case may be, even just going to a picnic. I just like plenty of things and creative ideas, places to go that's not consisting of just sitting in his bed. You know what I mean? And if the money's that tight that he can't afford to like the $10, $15 for you guys to go out on a picnic or to get some fruit, and you got like to do something like nice where you guys can be outside of the house. If he can't afford that, it's really money's that tight. You shouldn't even be dating, to be honest. Be honest with you. Okay. If you're not, this is you, sorry. If you're not even open considering the idea, then we should just stop right here, because I'm not going to be a smash and dash. You didn't even need to say that. You didn't even need to say that. He then says, he said he never counted it out and was just asking, what? I feel I am not out of line. And by saying I would like a night with you, in other words, watch a movie or something, we haven't done that. Sex only if it is natural, if we both want it. I see you as more than someone to have sex with. Okay, cool. So then what's the problem with you guys not being just laying in the bed? Okay, show me with a happy face, you said. Him, you are cute when you are mad. Me, I'm evil, jokingly using fun emojis. Him, stay vigilant, my dear. You are a sweetheart with a rose emoji. A few days later, I replied, thank you. You know there is no crime in wanting being single. I respect that. Okay. He then says, wow, late reply. If you think I want to stay single, you have the wrong idea. I'm a relationship person. I have a big heart. I wear it on my sleeve. Then you say, so sorry, I was just really busy. Sorry if I misjudged you. I can only go by what I see. He says, I can't read you sometimes. I think you hate me and it doesn't feel good. Do you want to see me sometime? You then said, yes, I would like that. A little chit chat, and that was that. That was Saturday afternoon. I feel like he's making me wait, so I reach out to him again. I am told not to talk relationship R word as it repels men, but he brought it up like I want too much. I feel defensive, not warm. and being lured to chase and validate him. I'm struggling with balance here. So you're not going to say anything to him. Very simple. So don't say a word to him. Let him cook. If he decides that he's ready. So here's the thing. It's gonna sound weird. Until he decides to approach you the right way in terms of being like, okay, let's actually go out somewhere, just honestly don't answer him. I know that's painful. And I know you probably won't want to do that. The reason I say don't answer him is because like he gets the hint. He gets the hint from the standpoint of like he knows what you're saying. Like simply be more considerate in the way that you want to hang out and like try and look like you at least have some more effort going on. Instead of doing that, he's actually arguing with you about like his point of view in terms of like, hey, it should be good enough that we just lay in the bed. I just want to lay in the bed. If he's that, so here's the thing. If he's that tired and exhausted that he just wants to lay in the bed because, you know, so much has been going on that he doesn't have energy or strength to go outside or do anything else, then why doesn't he take that time and rest by himself? That way, when he's ready to see you, he has energy to go out and do something. Are we on the same page? If he's not, like, you don't need to argue with the guy who is not on the same page as you. You know what you want. If he's not there with you mentally and what you want, and you've already spelled it out for him, it's not like he has any question here what you want, just leave him be. If he feels like texting you and letting you know that he actually wants to take you out on a date, then you can respond to him. But if he's going to text you again and just be like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Cool. Nothing much. Just chill. Don't even respond. He's got to approach you on some serious stuff at this point, or just don't even respond. And I mean like literally forever. Because you're gonna go in circles over and over again. Okay. Let's go to our next question here. Make sure I have enough time here. Okay. So X says, I am 29. I started dating this guy who's 33 at the beginning of February. I tried taking things slow with him in the first 1.5 months. He lives 2 hours away from me and always came to me on the weekends for our dates. He paid for everything and seems to listen to everything I say and remember small things about me as well. I met his close friends on our 7th date. I decided, 7th date, okay, you've been dating him. I decided to start a relationship at that time. What do you mean I decided to, what do you mean I decided to start a relationship? What do you mean by that? Like you asked him, what? Why would you say that like that? He had asked me about starting a relationship before, but I told him I wanted to wait a little bit. After meeting his friends, I asked him what he thought about starting a relationship, and he said he was going to ask me the same thing. Things had been going well. However, he started mentioning about paying for small things. He said he didn't want me to spend a lot of money on him. However, felt that 70-30 is a good amount. I started paying for coffee here and there, which he felt happy about, but I didn't buy it every time. He mentioned to me about coming to his city since he's come to mine a lot. I only went to his one time in the 2 months we'd been seeing each other. In my mind, I felt it made more sense for him to come to me since he has a car and I don't. However, I decided to compromise to work on the relationship. I went to his city and he wanted me to stay the weekend with him. Everything went well until we were at a coffee shop and I think he expected me to pay, but I didn't. And soon after, he looked a bit upset. Okay, like first things first. Okay. I don't know who his friends are. I don't know who raised him. But as a man, you don't leave your house without your wallet. Like as a man, like even if your girl says, I want to take you out, I want to treat you, I want to do this, we'll pay for a massage, I'll rub your feet, like you still bring your wallet. Like I don't know what world he's living in where you go out and you're like as a man and you're over here relying, like if your girl can't pay, you're looking sideways and this way and up and down. But bro, like have your Apple Pay on your phone, something. Like you can't, how do you leave your house with no way to pay, bro? Sorry, I don't get it. I don't get it. That's not smart. He didn't mention anything until we got home. He expressed. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have dissed him because he said he expected you to pay, but so I'm assuming that he ended up paying. Okay, so he ended up paying, but he's mad about it. He's mad about his paying for his little coffee. Okay, all right, whatever. He expressed his feelings to me calmly and mentioned he felt the relationship was one-sided since it was mostly him paying, thinking of things to do, and coming to my city. I told him this was how my previous relationships were, so it was normal for me. However, he said he believes a relationship should be two-sided. I definitely think two-sided from the standpoint of if he feels like he's not feeling your interest in him, then that's a different story. But if he's just upset or throwing a pity party because he's like, hey, I want you to pay for some dates and stuff like that, like, let's go on. I told him I didn't want him to feel unappreciated or that the relationship is one-sided. So I said I would try to put in more effort. Do you think I did the right thing? If not, what should I do in this situation? I don't think that, here's the thing. There's a balance, obviously. Men don't like to feel unappreciated. My other question, okay, I'm going to try to not be me because I think a certain way, but I understand not every man is going to think that same way. For me, the most important thing, rather than the money that I'm spending, is honestly just feeling appreciated. So if I'm consistently taking a girl out on a date and being nice about it and courting her and being respectful, all I want really and truthfully, for me at least, I just like the appreciation, the recognition of like, wow, like I appreciate you for doing that. Obviously, it's like, yes, theoretically, it's respectful to take a girl out and pay for the date and things like that. But even the appreciation in itself still feels amazing. Every time that a woman recognizes it, I love it. I feel amazing. I feel awesome. And it encourages me to do it more. My thought process is if you're making him feel that appreciation, I'm shocked that he is having this much of a problem with the spending of the money. Now, my other question becomes like, if this is such a problem, and let's say you are showing him that appreciation for the fact that he's doing things for you, I wonder how much, I don't know how to say this without sounding weird. I wonder how much he really likes you, if that makes any sense. Because when you really like a girl, spending a little money on ain't none. But if your money's tight, then you start complaining about money. If you don't like the girl enough, you start complaining about money. No guy I've ever met that has money to spend and likes the girl complains about spending a little money on. It's a girl you like, you spend a little money on. It's a little money on. Like, you go get it back. But that's the thing. And that's the thing that I'm worried about. Like, if he start talking about the coffee date, he start talking about this and that, he's getting uptight about how much he's spending. It's like, now I'm worried. I'm worried that either he doesn't like you enough or I'm worried that his money's a little bit tight, which, everyone gets in a little situation. I'm not saying he's a bad person for his money being a little tight, but then that's a different conversation to be had. Because I've never seen it go together where a man can have extra money to spend and really like a girl and he's complaining about the coffee dates and the this and the that. You want to see the girl, you spend a little money on it. So it's nothing crazy. You don't got a trick. It's just a little something. Like, I should mention, soon after we started the relationship, 2 dates after, we did sleep together. Okay. However, his suggestion about 70-30 came before we slept together. So this has been an issue. We live in Korea. He is Korean. I am Canadian. It's a common belief among Koreans that the man pays for big meals and the girl usually pays for small things afterwards, like dessert or coffee. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm not Korean, so I'm not sure what the culture is, and I'm not sure what the etiquette is. Is that confirmed? Like, that's the thing for those of you who may be Korean? I like that he can express himself well and usually speaks calmly and carefully. He also seems to notice small things I like, and he does them for me. He has good qualities. However, I'm not sure I can get princess treatment from him. I have a question too that I'm very curious about. Obviously, you guess you can answer it for yourself. Unless I'm mistaken, the cost of living in Korea is very low. I'm not tripping, right? Because I'd be seeing those videos of like, come with me to get a meal in Korea. and they'll go to like 7-Eleven, and 7-Eleven's not like 7-Eleven in the United States. 7-Eleven in Korea is like, bruh, they got everything. They got hot food. They got, ramen, like ramen that you've never seen before, like top shelf ramen. They got like all this different stuff, fresh. So the reason I'm saying that is because from my understanding, Korea is not like a high cost of living place to be, at least not high cost for food. So that's why I'm kind of like, is the money being spent that like intensely like life-changing that it's really going to affect, the relationship or his ability to feel satisfied or okay with this relationship? That's just, part of my question is like, what's going on with his money situation? I'm not saying you got to be like, hey, are you broke? But it's concerning to me because to live in a place where, cost of living isn't that high, and then he's complaining about like coffee and dessert places, like, it's just like, I'm just very curious, like, what's going on? Because it's just not something that most men will complain of. If you have extra money, like, I just don't want to sound pretentious, but if you have extra money, you're not going to complain about stuff like that. To be real with you, now everyone goes through real life situations, but I'm really wondering why something as simple as a coffee date is that like to the point where it's like he's like, yo, 70-30, we need the 70-30, 70-30. Like he's like, he came up with the percentage that's ideal for him. I tell you what. Here's the thing. If we want to compromise here, I'm going to tell you a compromise based on a situation because I know you want to be with the guy, okay? The compromise can be, hey, if the dates are becoming a lot, we can start doing more things outside of just going out to eat that like are fun and around town that don't cost so much. I'm sure if money is the issue, maybe his money's a little tight right now, that would take some pressure off of him, okay? Now, as it relates to you guys going out together, because obviously he's your boyfriend now, so like me saying, hey, just leave the guy and be with someone else, come on. As it relates to you guys going out together, I think that if you can make him feel at ease by saying, hey, I would love for us, when we're going out or whatever the case may be, if you guys have a discussion, if you're going to a dessert spot or you're going to whatever coffee place or whatever, and you're like, hey, this one can be my treat while you guys are on the way there, maybe that would help alleviate some of his anxiety towards the situation of like who's going to pay. But I think the real root of the problem is understanding why this is actually giving him so much anxiety. And I think you guys should have a conversation, not about like, oh, are you broke? But like, what do you want for the future? Like, how do you see a marriage going in terms of bills? How do you see a marriage going in terms of like how each person delegates like their funds to things? And it doesn't have to be like an intrusive, like, hey, you're a bad person, there's a right or wrong answer. It can just be a question of like, hey, just let me know what is your perspective on that. Then when he answers that question, you have to have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, is how he just expressed and described how he wants his marriage to be financially, is that what I want for the rest of my life? Because if you're over here in princess treatment land in your mind and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait to get with the man who's giving me princess treatment, and he's talking about 70-30, and you don't like the sound of that, that doesn't get you wet, you're going to have to do some reevaluating, because that's a misalignment in terms of what you guys want for the future of your lifestyle. And you're not going to be able to convince a man who wants 70-30 to give you princess treatment. You're also not going to be able to, he's not going to be able to convince you who wants princess treatment that 70-30 is the ideal way to go, right? But either way, you guys are going to be frustrated. So the reason I'm saying that is you might have to have one of the most painful conversations, and it's a conversation about the logistics of an actual like marriage and relationship. And you guys might have to figure out if you're even aligned in that front. Because my worry is you guys are realizing there's a particular very important front that you guys might not actually be aligned in. You understand what I'm saying? Because like I said, spending a little money on a girl you like ain't none, unless you have a money problem or you don't like the girl enough. So one of the two is probably happening. And if you probably want to find out which one it is, and that's going to happen through a conversation. Okay. So we have 2 donations here two donations here. One comes from Tokyo Rose. Tokyo Rose donates $5. She says, Thompson, what if he says he thinks I don't like him because I don't text? Doesn't matter. So if a guy tells you that he thinks that you don't like him, your response, I'll tell you this exact response. You can copy and paste this. I'm so sorry. I'm such a horrible texter. Please forgive me. Smiley face, right? Make it nice. Use the emojis. I'm so much better in person. I promise you. And you can put a smiley face and a heart. So so you can even say this if you really want to lead it on, right? If we ever meet in person, I promise you, you'll get such a different side of me. I just suck at text communication, but I make up for it in person. You can dress it up real nice. Say it like that with your smiley faces and your heart emojis and all that. What I'm trying to get you to communicate is when you're not texting him, it's not because you're not interested in him. What I want you to indirectly communicate is I'm not texting you because that's not my vibe. That's not my cup of tea. But if you were to ask me out on a date, then you would get the energy that you're looking for from me, right? That's what you're basically trying to indirectly communicate with your smiley faces and your heart emojis. Say that. And then whatever he does with that is what he does with that, right? What we're trying to get him to realize is that he should ask you out on a date. If he doesn't compute that together and he still just keeps texting you without asking you out on a date, then leave him be, right? You don't need to do much explaining. But other than that, that's all you need to do there. If he takes it how he takes it, that's however he takes it, okay? Nicole Cottom also donates $5. She says, great show. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. And thank all of you. I do have to run. I have a very important meeting I have to go to. So I got to be out of here. I will join you guys again later this week. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen there, Tomisin_Atub. It's also in my description at the bottom for those of you wanting to follow me there. Okay, please remind me about the dry erase markers. Please, I don't want to forget before my next show. Also, for those of you who want to rewatch the show because you came late and you missed some of the points, you can go up to my YouTube channel. It's just my name, Tomisin, Tomisin. Type it in on YouTube, go into the live section. You'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And the best part is you'll see the YouTube and TikTok chat embedded in the video, so you won't miss a second of conversation that we have on the show. Okay, for those of you who want to know what time I'm live every weekday, Monday to Friday from Monday. I'm thinking of my old schedule. I'm here Monday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was very late today, but we had 10 points. That was a lot for me to discuss. I had to prepare a lot. So Monday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am here live, but I also post pre-recorded videos on my YouTube as well. They just don't show up on the live show. They're surprises, okay? All right, I'll see you guys again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until we meet again, I bid you adieu, hasta la vista, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, baoni, arrivederci. Did I say arrivederci already? Bon voyage! Buenas noches. That's good night, though. And I'll see you again on Thursday. Au revoir. And I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? I love you so much. So much.